Welcome to Icon Park. Perfect conditions for our 7 VFL match of the day. It's Carlton and Box Hill. Round 6 action. Jason Bennett alongside Nigel Carmody and Campbell Brown. Both these teams looming as potential contenders in September. The Hawks 3-2, the Blues 2-2. Shapes as a really good matchup. Sam Petrevski-Seton makes his VFL debut after 88 AFL games. He's one of a number of big names in this Carlton side this afternoon, looking to push up for opportunities, including this young man, Brodie Kemp. He was taken at pick 17, Carlton's first pick in the 2019 draft after doing his ACL, playing school footy for Geelong Grammar midway through 2019. Hasn't played since. First opportunity to run out this afternoon in the old dark navy blue. As Campbell Brown, we welcome you this afternoon to have a look at that Carlton lineup. 11 AFL listed players for the Blues and 11 for the Hawks. This should be a cracker.
Yeah, nice and even competition, and both these sides going beautifully at the moment.
So 3-2 the Hawks, Carlton 2-2. The Blues coming off the bye. The Hawks, well, they've just been a model of consistency, as we know, played in 10 of the last 11 final series. They look to be in the mix once again this season. There's Tim O'Brien in the VFL this week, lining up against James Parsons. And we are set to go. Really looking forward to this one. It's 7's VFL match of the day, and here's Nudge.
And it's a bit of welcome to the jungle for Carlton ruckman Aaron Gundry in just his second VFL game, going up against the might, the bulk, and the experience of Jonathan Segler, as well to neutralise that opening contest as Kilpatrick, off 34 touches last week, thuds it off the ground. Cooper Stevens lost the footing on the way through against Brockman. Hurst, there is Brockman with the clean take, looking for Downey. There's more Blues in the screen here as Hurst goes to Stevens. It was a handball in hope at best. Minot chopped it off and gives the Hawks their first forward 50 entry. Parks, another on debut, missed with the fist. Nash couldn't clutch it. There's pressure here on the Blues as Morris, off his handful last week, goes thundering in, as does Pepper. And Box Hill have worked this to within 14 metres of their goal, coming off a gigantic total last week. Smash the Kangaroos.
Good strong contest there. Just the Carlton defenders need to be a little bit wary not to let the ball out over the back.
Carroll, Delaney, now Stevens for the Blues. Goes out to defensive 50. Jack Nunes, one of the names in this VFL side this afternoon. DeWitt's ball inside 50. An almost opportunity there for Minot, couldn't collect it. Nunes went to ground. Tackle comes from Aaron Gundry. This Carlton side, Petrevski-Seton and Kemp we've mentioned, Jack Nunes, Matt Kennedy, Luke Parks, Tom Williamson, Josh Honey. Plenty of AFL experience.
Certainly the case with their opponents this afternoon as well, as two inexperienced types in Downey. So we've got Josh Morris and Josh Honey, who were the medical subs unused in yesterday's AFL game. It's the way it is in season 2021. You don't play minutes or anything sufficient. You find yourself playing twos if you can. Oh, that's courage in flight there from Delaney. It trampolined off his chest, though, and Petrevski-Seton's first touch was a nervy hand pass. Parks, an air swing. Box Hill with some good pressure here, but nothing to show for it as Kemp's first interaction was a handball looking for Carroll. Downey, Kilpatrick, snap. Not the 15, surely not the 15. It won't matter because Jack has got class.
This is the left foot kick. It was paid a mark. You can hear the whistle there from the umpire. He was wheeling and going no matter what, and he was prolific last week. 3 goals, 17 disposals, 10 marks from his 20 disposals, and he starts today the perfect way.
Well, Box Hill early, the first 3 inside 50s as Honey's wrapped up by Minot, gives it off to Kennedy. Skews the kick towards half forward. Nunes used the body well on Mercedes. Opens the door for Ramsey at the back. Brings it inboard. Skins the kick. Horner there. Kilpatrick, who was outstanding last week with 34 touches. Goes to a 2-on-2 on the wing. Brooksby comes out. Meets Stevens. Gets the hands free. Gives it to Pepper. Now to Downey. Downey bounces it towards half forward for Brockman. He gathers back to Pepper. Wants to take Stevens on. Pops a handball into the Downey direction. Confronted by Parks. Floats a kick inside 50. Kennedy versus Brooksby. That's almost a jump ball.
It is. Umpire has paid a ball up here. Both got a really good grab at the exact same time there. There's no man in front because they both came from the side. It's a good umpiring. Brooksby going to probably spend a little bit more time in the ruck with sharing with Segler. Ned Reeves debuted yesterday, did a terrific job. They've been playing with 3 ruckman, Box Hill, which is a little bit unusual. But just back to 2 today.
So Connor Downey with the behind there. It's 4 inside 50s to 1. The way so far of Box Hill as Williamson smacks it into the corridor, and here's Lachlan Swaney, the 20-year-old from Uni Blues, originally a product of the Sydney Academy, making his VFL debut this afternoon. Kemp stops and props to work his way through. Downey did it cleverly. Now Ramsey's in a clear patch of turf. And at right half forward goes deep for Crocker. Fist in from Beasley. No infringement. Segler to Hartley. The tap. It was careful. And O'Brien did well to just bring the ball to earth with 1 mitt. So he's a left footer, O'Brien. An interesting decision. We might even see him run a little angle to banana this almost here. Here's the intercept from Hartley. O'Brien goes short, lazy defence from the Hawk.
Yep.
Josh Honey takes full toll.
In between 3 Box Hill defenders there, they just got caught napping, and he hasn't wasted any time either.
Honey snaps, Honey goals. Here's the O'Brien kicking board. Almost a Maribyrnong College reunion of sorts today. Sam Ramsey, Josh Honey and Emerson Jecker, all products of the school in Melbourne's inner northwest.
Those Box Hill defenders were the opposite of bees to a honeypot. They just stayed away from him when they needed to get nice and close.
What is the opposite?
Whatever they just did. Gundry in the middle, up against Brooksby. It's got a good game feeling about this one. Kilpatrick towards half forward. Morris wrapped up by Parks, taken down.
Good contest.
Gundry and Brooksby go at it again. Brooksby got the tap. Fumble from Ramsey. Opportunity here for Ducci. Handball a bit too much on it for Kilpatrick. Williamson lost his feet. Petrevski-Seaton was slick. Stevens, nice kick. Finds Ramsey on the way out. He's got a man working hard over the top, and he honours that. Matt Shannon, co-captain, thinking about his options and decides he'll just go long down the line. Parsons presents, couldn't quite haul it in. Kilpatrick, good tackle from Ramsey, and it'll be rewarded.
Their tackling's been good early, Carlton. Got themselves back into the contest.
Sam Ramsey, impressive youngster's got a hard edge on him, developing nicely. This is Fraser Phillips.
A lot of players inside Carlton's defensive 50.
Delivers towards the pocket. Beautifully read by Hartley. Used the body, positioning well. This game featuring 2 of the competition's most dangerous forwards so far this season in Crocker. Ben Crocker at one end and Emerson Jecker at the other.
Almost single-handedly got them across the line against Footscray 2 weeks ago. 4 goals in the last quarter.
Brendan Newcombe crosses halfway, elects to handball to the outer side, and with good reason. He's got a runner in the form of Saunders. Tries to slice it for Morris, but Parks, as we've seen in his early AFL interactions as a Blue, able to take the intercept and send it back the other way. North to Shannon, who played, of course, 1 game for Box Hill 2 years ago. Goes corridor for Honey, the Blues goal kicker so far. He's got one on. It's Kennedy. He tic-tac-toed it beautifully over the top. Kennedy to Parsons. He'll run a line to goal. Carlton with back-to-back majors and the lead.
They're using the ball really well. That was a chop-out mark from Luke Parks in the defensive 50. They brought the ball back through the corridor and had the overlap. Parsons runs in and kicks the easiest of goals, but it was good foot skills all the way from the back end that set that goal up.
Kicking efficiency at the moment, 84%. Carlton, Box Hill 33%, so 12 marks to 2 the result. They're just hitting their targets. Brooksby, good tap over the top. Coming in hard off the line was Aducci, gave it off to Kilpatrick. He kicks towards half forward, Parks again. What a fine young aerialist he is. Off to Kemp, promising start for the first gamer. Towards the wing, doing nicely was Calusi. North puts it into the path of Swaney, another first gamer. Tries to slip his man, Mercedes. Umpire said the tackle slipped high. Free kick, Lockie Swaney.
Those intercept marks are just so important in modern football because they transition into attack very quickly, and Luke Parks is doing a great job at it.
Brooksby just drops back into the hole in front of O'Brien and cuts it off. And now a chance for the Hawks to switch to the broadcast side, the northern side here at Icon Park. Horner sizzles a kick down the wing. Nice delivery. Jecker did everything but hold it. Sliding in hard was Delaney. Umpire said it was contact below the knees. Free kick Brockman. Advantage will be paid. Pepper, slight hesitation. Now delivers towards half forward. Good hands, Morris. Marks in front of Shannon. And he can have a look from 70 metres out and assess his options. But there's lots of Blues back.
Both teams work their way into Box Hill's forward half. Saunders did well to recover. Handball looking for a trio of Hawks. It's Downey who was there first. Segler inboard. Hartley can connect off a step and send it deep. Flyer will be Delaney from the side for the Blues, who's at ground level. Delaney goes back to collect. Pepper, fumbly, Minot back into traffic. Gets boot to ball somehow. Won't get to the line, and in the end, Nash was forced into a fist that went behind. Trent Minot kicked an absolutely brilliant goal from the boundary to the left of screen last week at Box Hill. He's had a very industrious start to his time as a Hawk.
O'Brien plays on quickly. Puts it at the feet of his ruckman Gundry. North wants to draw Nash, but then coughed it straight up. Gave it to O'Brien. His handball inboard. Shannon's going to get run down from behind. A little bit sloppy here from the Blues. They've still got the numbers. North. Now Williamson goes for a bounce. It doesn't come back to him. Oh, gee, they did that the hard way in the end. Brody Kemp got on the end of it. Kick has to be a lot harder than it needed to be. Kemp goes to Hurst. Now Williamson, that's not 15 to O'Brien. He didn't gather anyhow. Aducci now runs him down. They're really struggling to get this out of their defensive half at the moment, the Blues. Williamson. Kemp, sure-footed, turned his man. Delivered back to Parks. He drops the mark. Socket off the deck by Phillips. There's a sense of inevitability about a Hawthorn goal, or Hawks goal rather, and Checker gets it done. Oh, that was a series of errors, Brownie.
Yeah, we just praised their skill disposal by foot, and they turned a couple over. The decision there to dive and take the chest mark from Luke Parks, who started this game terrifically, was probably the wrong one, and left the door open for Emerson Jecker to kick his second of the afternoon.
3, 5, 3 and 2 for Jecker so far in 12 quarters and 12 minutes of VFL this year. Newcomb explodes from the clearance in the right spot. Brooksby gets those telescopic arms up. And Delaney just electing to play in front instead of back shoulder was sold out of it.
Nudge to put your talent agent hat on for a moment. John Newcomb's come from nowhere. He's come from Poowong down near Warragul. He's played now half a dozen games of VFL football, been really impressive. What does that do for his draft prospects?
He could be 9-10 days away from being on the list, Jace. Wednesday, the 2nd of June, is the mid-season rookie draft. Would be surprised if there's not a representative from nearly every club here today having a look, as Brooksby slides that to the line, and Jecker was a metre short, perhaps turning it into something. Keegan Brooksby now 6'5" for the season. So Carlton can exit through Phillips. Hands to it, Calusi. Brooksby off to Phillips, who comes back onto his right and suddenly has a channel to goal. Just tries to check the kick. Jecker's in the right spot. The fist came straight to Saunders from Parks. In the end, his momentum fumbled the ball through.
Ball in the hands of Phillips. It's a hot contest early. Two quality teams, packed full of talent. And here's one of them, Jack Carroll. Tidy to Honey. Such an exciting athletic package is Josh Honey. He goes to Matt Kennedy. Better ball movement this time on the way out from the Blues. Look at the difference when you hit the targets. Crocker's called to go. He's confronted by Beasley. He chips down the line. Next in the chain is O'Brien. Now the important kick, and again he misses it. It's Gundry at his feet, and the turnover will come. Nash. Segler run down from behind by Petrevski-Seaton. Great forward pressure.
Outstanding. And just a throw in the end. Incorrect disposal. That's going to be really important today. The defensive pressure from the small forwards of both clubs, locking the ball inside their forward 50, giving themselves opportunities.
Parsons is a thumping kick from 52 metres. Didn't hit it sweetly. It's going to get right to the line, and Segler drops back, takes the mark, and Dan O'Keefe, the Carlton coach, will be tearing his hair out.
So Segler out to the other side, looking for Brooksby. You've got a hand on it. It's going to work here for Brockman. The ditch to the speedy Saunders, who can Olympic sprint his way down the wing. And out the back here is Jecker. If he can mark, he'll turn to a one-on-one, try and get it over the head of these Carlton defenders sliding back. Pepper's the target. He'll be against Parsons, who got a hand onto it. Stevens over his head. Parsons stepped through one, elected to kick. And And again, a questionable distance, but a mark taken by Delaney. He punches it into the pocket. Jack Carroll in his second game, Carlton's VFL side, over the head of Crocker, who's come up the ground looking for a feed. Nash taken to the ground by Crocker, putting some good pressure on Ben Crocker. What a start to the season he's had, the former Crow and Pie. 16-10 in 4 matches so far, and it's a good race for the Frosty Miller medal. Matt Hammerman from Aspley. Josh Jenkins has been kicking a lot of goals for the Cats so far this season. It's going to be a good race for the scoring total. You'd imagine at least 50 goals across the 16 matches is probably going to be needed to win it.
Short throw in ends up with Kennedy. Petrevski-Seton to Crocker. Good strong hands in front of Beasley. Wanted to go.
It's going to be a great contest, that one.
Be 50 it will, because Beasley prevented him from playing on.
Yeah, that's the right call. The good thing about Ben Crocker, and we've seen him play a few times this year, is he always looks to play on really quickly. Being a forward, he knows that the quicker you can get the ball in there to one-on-ones, the better chance you have.
And there it is, right onto the chest of Josh Honey, who yesterday was a medical sub, very close to getting his second AFL game, played one last season. And he is squarely in the mix, and you can see why, Brownie. His form in recent weeks and the traits he shows, the power, the speed, the ability to get over the back, it's got AFL quality written all over it.
Yeah, it certainly does, and he's already hit the scoreboard once today.
These are the chances he needs to take. A tough one from 48 metres. Floats it beautifully and finishes with a goal.
Moves the ball on really quickly. Beautiful kick of the footy is Crocker, and he hit this from just inside 50. Gave it plenty of air, but it went straight, and that's all that matters. So he's got 2 now, Honey. Started this game terrific.
So a face-off between a couple of the Maribyrnong College boys. Jackie with a couple for the Hawks.
Yeah.
2 so far for Josh Honey. As Jace mentioned, was the Medi sub yesterday as Phillips came in off the square. Newcomb again wins a hard footy and somehow found an option to get out. It's Minot on his left. Saunders stayed down, read it better than the bigger Delaney. Can he finish it off? He can. We've got 4 lead changes and a cracker.
He's a smart, crafty footballer. Last week, made the most of his opportunities, kicked 3. On that occasion, just used his body enough to take the mark, immediately hit the ground running, as he likes to do, and kicked truly. So, another lead change.
3 goals apiece as we approach time on. 7's VFL match of the day. It's a cracker. Gundry, big man, takes it from the ruck, gives it off to Williamson. He pokes it in the Petrevski-Seton direction. He's got Downey for company. Downey's got some speed, does well, wins the football, delivers it high towards Jecker and Parks. That floats wide and out of bounds on the full. And Sam Petrevski-Seton up to 4 touches. Going to play more midfield minutes this afternoon, Brownie, and he was recruited, he was drafted at pick 6 in 2016 as a midfielder and as a midfield half-forward type, but he's been playing half-back for the last season and a half and hasn't really had the impact the Blues have been looking for.
Yeah, quite often, as a youngster, you get drafted and you don't immediately find your role in the AFL side as you were as a junior, so you just got to work your way into it. He's played enough football now that he should have got his endurance base up to an appropriate level that he can spend more minutes in the midfield.
Nunes, good kick down the line. He saw Gundry had 5 metres on his opponent, can give it off to the running O'Brien, who's got a short option. Can just chip it inside 50. Finds Ramsey. Now for the finish with his left. Oh! Post.
Oh, we had the perfect view on the back of that. The left footer was swinging back, but just not enough. He hit it perfectly.
Quick ball movement from both these teams this afternoon in perfect conditions.
Yeah, it was good football. They're moving the ball really well, the Blues, and Box Hill just a couple of goals out of centre clearances and some defensive transition turnover, which they like to score from. And that's out on the full.
Hartley to Mercedes. It's going to hug the line for Morris. Good pressure applied in flight there from Jack Nunes, who's in the line at the sub.
Made a free kick.
Carlton just
gee whiz,
playing a very different game to Box Hill at the moment, as we saw the numbers on the marks there, but Box Hill are 33 kicks, 27 handballs before. Let's have a look at the top of the arms. Nunes has eyes only on Morris in flight there, and perhaps the right call for Morris coming off 5 last week. He's going to go backwards. This might almost score a point for Carlton here. DeWitt trapped it on the bounce, fans it off now to Horner, so a chance for Box Hill to try and get out the other side. The second link in the chain lead-wise here is Green. Another with really strong hands in this Box Hill lineup. He'll chip inboard dangerously for Newcombe, but he's had a really hot start to this one. Comes inboard now. Mercedes, a better leg this time. Segler's planted the feet and on the second bite claims it.
Yeah, unfortunately, that wasn't the defender's fault on that occasion. Kemp had taken the front position, which would have been perfect if Mercedes hadn't have been able to sell that candy. He stepped the Blues midfielder, which just bought him another 3 or 4 metres that allowed the kick to get over the back. So those tiny little things can sometimes make a big difference for defenders.
Shared the ruck duties last week with Ned Reeves, so you expect we'll see Segler spending a lot more time in the centre circle today. 18 touches, 21 hitouts, 11 marks, 2 majors last week against North. He just leant back on that kick, misses to the left, and the Hawks have had 15 inside 50s to 9, 8 scores to 4, and just a 4-point lead.
Quick ball in to the back pocket. Fraser Phillips goes looking for Kemp. Well done, Brockman. Stood tall, took the intercept mark. Lead comes from Brooksby, heads in that direction. Williamson got across. Pepper. Aducci, dangerous. Bends it across the body and slots it through. Lovely finish.
It was a good mark from Tyler Brockman on the wing that turned the ball back over, got it inside Box Hill's defence, forward 50, and lovely snap there from Aducci, and he loved it.
So the Hawks dominant on the inside. The Blues tend to be dominant on the outside. That's how it's playing out so far. Hawthorn dominating in the middle.
Gundry, sharked by Kilpatrick, and he'll march away with the bounce, lower the vision, and pierce it onto the chest of Morris. This is a sensational game of footy. You will not get better conditions in the 3rd week of May in Melbourne. Temperature's going to nick past 20 degrees this afternoon. Both teams playing a brand of football to enjoy. Josh Morris coming off 5 last week against North, looking to hit the scoreboard here.
You can't stop that. It was just great centre clearance work. Kilpatrick lowered the eyes. A nice strong lead from Morris. Very, very hard to defend when you can walk it out of the centre.
6
as
to 2.
easy as that.
6 to 2, the centre clearances.
Morris from 48. The contact was sweet. Slaps into the post, not dissimilar fashion to Sam Ramsey down the other end. So 24 and a half played, margin at 11 as the Hawks look to go 4-2 on the season.
Phillips, can he hit the outlet? He can't again. This has been their problem. Minot, intercepted. Carroll couldn't take the mark. Jecker gets involved. Off to Nash. Squares it up. Blues got numbers under this one. Gundry's punched to the top of the goal square. Kemp goes down, picks up the football, tries to work his way out. Won't do so. Will get punched. Brockman picks it up. Advantage will be paid and the goal will count. Hawks have got 3 in a row. So Tyler Brockman, the opportunist.
Nonchalant too, just very, very casual.
And are they the ones as a player, Brownie, you stick the tackle, you go, great, 15 out from goal, I'll go back and I can slot one here. One of the little forwards picks it up, dribbles it through, and you miss out completely. You don't even get a kick.
You're not overly wrapped, I can give you that that tip, but you're just happy that your team's got the team. That's right. So, no,
thanks, Tyler, good on you.
Really, really strong tackle there from Harry Pepper, who they played forward last week, and he showed some good signs. Look at this, just as casual as you like. Tyler Brockman, first 4 games of AFL footy, kicked a goal or more in every single game, multiples in his first 2, and found his way out of the side.
Saw Harry Pepper go over and celebrate. He was happier than Tyler Brockman. Certainly goes against the grain of what you normally see in that situation. Kick inside 50, Kennedy. Crocker was being held, free kick will go against Beasley despite his pleas.
And the difference when the Blues win a centre clearance, Brownie.
Well, they haven't won too many, and they just got the ball in nice and deep to a one-on-one contest, and Benny Crocker's so good at using his body. Look at that, arms around him. I'm not sure what Hugh Beasley was complaining for, because that is a hold any day of the week. Now, he's had, I'm not going to call it the yips, but he's had a couple of quarters. They've only been quarters, Jace. The Essendon game when he kicked 1-4.
Would have kicked 7 in a quarter.
Yeah.
16-10 across the season thus far.
And, yeah, we'll call it the yips. When he's on, he's red hot.
It's one of those players, technically, looks like if he's trying to steer it, he's a less than 50% chance. When he punches through the ball,
they go beautifully.
Distance, they're a lot better.
O'Brien playing in defence, thumps it long towards the wing. Brooksby, nice gather in from Saunders. And that's a lovely delivery to Jekka, working all the way to the wing.
His ball use, Saunders, is outstanding.
So Jekka spears it low towards half forward. Punched away from Porter at the front. In fact, it was Morris. Here's Kennedy. Nunes back to Kennedy. Short to Swain. He can get it and go. There's nothing to kick too long. And that's the result. Porter will cut it off. Blues forward structure breaking down on that occasion. Mercedes kicks a dangerous one. Crocker almost got there. O'Brien to Witt. Phillips. And he finds Aducci in some space. Runs away from Petrevski's seat, and good ball use again from the Hawks. That was great movement. And Saunders gets on the end of it. A chance to go back and kick his second.
He's just a smart footballer. He was the man up here on the half-back flank that found Emerson Jekka. His work rate's nice and high. He worked back inside his forward 50 when he realised that the turnover was on, and he gets his second opportunity in front of goals. It's been a really good quarter.
Spears it low. Just hit a little bit skinny there for Green, who turns, delivers inboard. Good fist away there from Nunes.
Jeez.
The umpire's paid a free kick.
This is... Tell you what, I've seen a lot of football over the course of the weekend. Buddy got a couple of very questionable decisions late last night for chopping or contact. On that occasion, that is just a really good, hard, aggressive defender spoiling the ball. No free kick there at all.
But Aducci can go back and kick his second and really open up a very handy lead for the Hawks. They're 22 points up.
There's still room in this game to spoil with aggression, and that's not chopping of the arms. He's got basically all ball anyway. Free kick paid. Aducci goes back and kicks his second.
Hawks have kicked 4 on the trot.
Well, 4-2 to 2 behinds in the last 10 minutes. Those two misses for Carlton where Ramsey's poster and Crocker's missed that he should have kicked.
Another centre clearance.
Takes advantage again. Saunders was bodied out of it by Kemp. Off the ground goes Aducci. It's almost a reverse deliberate to create a stoppage. Umpire won't fall in.
Contested possession count. Box Hill getting right on top. In the second half of this quarter, there's a real arm wrestle early. They've just broken the game open in the last 7 or 8 minutes.
Mark numbers starting to square up as well at 28 to 19 as Brooksby grabbed it out of the ruck. The half volley got through Saunders. It was a floaty handball from Stevens. It was flicked out by Green, looking for Kilpatrick, who stretches an arm out now against Kemp. Pepper lost eyes on it, slapped it. Kemp with a little step, showing his ability to be a bit evasive. No luck there for DeWitt. Honey sensing a moment here. 2-on-2 inside Carlton's forward half. One of them's Crocker. He marks. Bit of a professional foul from Horner, which will slow things down.
Crocker will deliver to half forward. Good body use there at ground level from Marshall. It's taken away by Ramsey. His kick to the top of the square is cut off by Phillips. Phillips' kick into the path of Saunders, who has covered a heap of territory in this opening term. He's got Carroll to deal with and does it easily.
Oh,
and beautiful delivery to Aducci.
His foot skills this quarter have been the standout.
Hawks have been sizzling here. They've got the game on their terms, and now Jekka has the football almost within range.
And Saunders' ability out there on the far wing to first evade his man and then pull the trigger on that inside kick. Find the target that opened up the leading lane here for Emerson Jekka. That was just brilliant football.
It's been Carlton's ball use. It's been handing the Hawks the football back in the second part of this quarter, and they've been making them pay.
This man lining up for his third for the quarter. When he kicks goals, he does it in bags.
13-7 for the season from 52 metres.
Just beyond him.
What an opening term of football. 9 goals, 6 of those coming to the Hawks. They boot the last 4 goals of the quarter. In the quarter time on 7's VFL match of the day, it's Box Hill 6-6-42. Leading Carlton 3-2-20. It's the Hawks by 22 points. Quarter time at Icon Park. It's been a high-octane game of football between Carlton and Box Hill. Goal for goal early on. And the Hawks, after Carlton started pretty well, The Blues an outside team predominantly. The Hawks a predominantly inside team, certainly in relative terms. And they got on top, the Hawks. They booted the last 4 goals of the quarter to take an arm wrestle and force it their way. They lead by 22 points at the first change. Brockman and Saunders both been very busy for the Hawks. Saunders in particular, really impressive. Matt Kennedy with 7 touches for the Blues. As we take a look at the overall numbers, Brown, in the end, that inside 50 count really blew out. 20-11 was on the back of the clearance work and the contested possession work, though. The Hawks just stayed at it for the whole term. And the Blues, well, they just couldn't get their hands on the football, and when they did, they turned it over.
Yeah, 12 scoring shots from 20 inside 50s. It's really efficient. Their centre clearance work was outstanding. And even though the Blues used the ball a little bit better by foot, some of their turnovers directly resulted in goals, so it did hurt them.
7 games completed so far in round 6 of VFL action. Geelong, big winners over Coburg by 57 points. Southport over Gold Coast by 83. Footscray over Frankston by 81. Richmond over Brisbane by 62. GWS over Port Melbourne by 9 points. Sandringham, a good win over Aspley by 11 points. And then yesterday, North Melbourne on the board for their first win of season 2021. A gutsy 15-point win over Essendon at Windy Hill. As we take you inside the Carlton camp now, their coach Dan O'Keefe. Dan, thanks very much for your time. It was a bit of an arm wrestle early, but the Hawks got on top in the back half of the quarter. How did they do it?
Full ground transition. They moved the ball really well from our forward 50 all the way through down close to their goal, and they end up scoring off the back of that. So we're just going to be a lot tighter on our outlets and trying to understand how they're moving the ball and just stop them.
Dan, did you ever chat to your midfield group about just how dangerous those centre clearances are when Box Hill get a bit of a run on?
Yeah, it just puts our defenders under a lot of pressure, and by getting those clean looks, it just puts them right under the pump from the start. So that's something we're going to fix up, and we'll try to rectify that this quarter.
Sam Petrevski-Seton, his usage this afternoon, predominantly midfield forward?
Midfield wing forward, yeah. So we've got a lot of guys that are going to have to roll through those positions, and we really need more from Samo in regards to his ball use, because he's one of our best ball users at the club. So we're looking for a big 3/4 from him coming up.
And the program for Brodie Kemp, is he on managed minutes?
A little bit, but I reckon he'll play out the whole game. But we'll just give him some strategic rest throughout the game. But he started the game really well. There's no expectations really for him today. It's his first game for the club in a couple of years, so I thought he started really well.
Great, thanks Dan. Appreciate your time. Good luck this afternoon.
Cheers.
Daniel O'Keefe joining us. There's Alistair Clarkson watching on. Would have been very pleased with what he saw in the back half of that quarter, Brownies. The Hawks got the game on their terms.
Yeah, certainly. There's some good young talent coming through that have been at Box Hill for a few weeks now, and they're starting to get some continuity in their football. And the way that Hawthorn senior side's going, they're going to give themselves a look at maybe senior selection.
Craig McRae on screen, of course,
little
now
fly.
part of the Hawthorn assistant coaching panel. Richmond VFL Premiership.
Last time we were here?
Probably the last time he was here as well. There's some of the Carlton players in action in yesterday's victory on screen. Mark Pitnet, of course, watching some of his former teammates as well.
Nudge, you're the VFL historian.
I was going to say guru, but you
Tim O'Brien, the only player out there that's played in both of Box Hill's.
Played in 4 grand finals for Box Hill, 2 for 2.
113 and 118, yes.
Second term, 7 VFL match of the day as Brownie reminisces. It's the Hawks by 22 points. How can the Blues respond here? Kennedy, Connor Nash gets away from Petrevski-Seton, then gets away from Kennedy as well. Pops a handball over the top to Mercedes. Spirals a kick inside 50. Parks arrived late as a third man up. Stevens at ground level to tidy up. He goes short. Williamson's going to get called to play on. Runs away from Morris. Tidy delivery. Finds O'Brien at the top of the defensive goal square. Goes onto that favoured left boot. Doesn't hit the kick well. O'Brien couldn't take the mark. Williamson can tidy it up for Carlton. Goes long towards the wing. It hits Crocker in the back. Beasley wants to claim it off his back and he gets paid.
So Hartley, closest man to the goal. Box Hill are defending in this quarter. Goes wide and back to O'Brien. His first VFL game since round 2, 2019. Minor, low, punching ball. Second bite for Saunders, who had 7 and a goal to quarter time to pick up from where he left off after having a superb match last Sunday against the Roos. O'Brien has meandered a little bit further forward to get a second touch in this sequence. Segler, Brockman, there's more Blues here. Petrevski-Seton's amongst them. Parks has to go inside out, hand on it there from Saunders, who just stays busy. He took on Nunes, and the jack battle is all square.
Tyler Brockman there flew for that mark. Probably at his size and with big Johnny Segler and some of the bigger guys around him, should have just stayed down for the front and square.
O'Brien read the tap nicely, couldn't get an effective disposal. Mine it. In over the football is Stevens and Saunders. Umpire calls for it. Those inside 50s are blown out in favour of the Hawks. Blues need to get busy early in this second term. Segler's kick was smothered. Williamson going nowhere, wrapped up by Brockman. So Tom Williamson trying to work his way back into Carlton's AFL lineup. 35 AFL games, of course missed all of 18 and most of 19 with those back problems. Matt Kennedy, quick kick, gets it outside the defensive zone. Gundry forced a contest. Shannon flashed across, left it behind. O'Brien did well, went back and found it. Brockman run down, couldn't get a kick away. Honey, he was shunted out of the contest. Hurst put his body over the football. It comes out to Carroll. He's wrapped up by Kilpatrick. Good pressure here from the Hawks. It's relentless as Mercedes taken down. Still alive. Kilpatrick somehow found some space. Chipped it to the pocket. We'll have a throw in adjacent to the behind post.
Anderson Jecker on screen's got a couple so far. Delaney doing the ruck work against John Segler, who's had a strong influence on the game so far. So 22-point lead to the Hawks. Shallow throw in. Kemp went to go off the ground. Nunes overran it. Minot will try and keep the play alive, and he's thundered over the line. Parks and Delaney working in tandem. Minot running out of room here. Took possession, did well, and then wore 2 doses of contact from Luke Parks and Delaney, the product of Bite Up down there in Hamilton in Western Victoria, playing just his 4th VFL match this afternoon. Playing his local footy with Yarraville Set It in the Western Region Footy League. Segler, Jecker, Kilpatrick on the left, takes it upon himself, fans it across and out of bounds on the full. It'll be a Carlton ball. Jace, you mentioned reminiscing before. 19 years ago this week since Carlton and Box Hill last played in a VFL game. Box Hill won 123-64. Donald McDonald coaching. Sam Mitchell was best and fairest. Ross Lyon was the coach of the VFL Blues at the time.
Crocker brings it inboard to Kemp. So that 2002, that was your first year, wasn't it, Brown?
Was, yep, played
so
at Box
you would have been playing in that game?
I assume I was, yeah.
Was he in that game? Was he on the list?
He wasn't, Jace. Actually, Brownie, surprisingly enough, was out suspended.
Who would have thought?
No. Surely not. Oh, yeah, that's right. I think I got done for charging David T.
Well, to tie the strands together, current Carlton coach.
Matt Shannon to Crocker.
I was unfairly treated. Again.
What's the story of your career?
The first of many.
In fact, it still is. Jai Newcomb.
Oh, no.
Has it in the back half. Good kick to the middle of the ground, opens up the corridor for Segler. Again, good ball use from the Hawks. Nash wants to take Cooper Stevens on with speed, and then tidy delivery. It's been the difference between the two sides at the moment. Phillips goes towards Brockman. Crocker got back to force a contest. Clever slap over the top for Green. Couldn't take it with him. Hurst was tidy. Off to O'Brien. Can he hit a target now on the way out? Goes for distance down the line towards Nunes. Flying over the top, Mercedes. Now an opportunity at the back for the Blues.
Well, they've got no one to kick to because Benny Crocker is the full forward, and he was the man that put the pressure on Brockman inside the defensive 50.
Marshall to Nunes. Now Honey can turn, can snap. Can he find the uprights? Across the face.
Great work rate from Ben Crocker. He was on the wing. He worked about 100 metres to get back and put the spoil on the fleet of foot, Tyler Brockman.
So, first score of the second quarter takes almost 6 minutes after high-octane start. Hartley has a leg on him and will display it on this occasion. Segler, Parks did well to create the spillage. Petrevsky-Seaton took on the tackle. It was spilt. He tried to kick it.
So no Corey Durden this afternoon. He was out there warming up, so maybe a late change for the Blues because Dale Marshall, who actually was an emergency to begin with, now in the lineup.
And played, I believe, for Rosebud yesterday in the MPNFL as well. So might fire off a couple of text messages to the Carlton hierarchy and find out what the issue was with Corey Durden, as Minor shins it. Parsons has got a couple to beat. They've got a full fist to the jumper. Porter stayed afloat. Kilpatrick was clever just to dab it 4 or 5 metres to Horner, who again runs back into the traffic, fans it for Downey, takes the mark. He's got Beasley feeding off him, as well as Phillips. Stops and props, works his way around Phillips. Double-footed jump required from Aducci. O'Brien got into the back. Aducci claws it back in, and he's Gonski.
You're right, Cole. Had the opportunity to paddle that out into space, chose not to. And quite often players are coached not to in times like this. Just cough the ball up when they know they're outnumbered, because the best result is to be paid holding the ball, and it's a slow play.
O'Brien went down the line to Marshall, a late inclusion. He got one in the back. Brings it inboard to Hurst. So can the Blues start eating into this deficit? They trail by 21 points early going second term. 7 VFL match of the day. Down the line, Kennedy was the target, landed heavily. Spills to the back, and the Hawks have got the numbers as a result. Minor delivers down the line. Needed to be perfect for Green, and almost was. He flips a handle back. Lovely pick up from Downey at his feet. Off to Mercedes, who's got a raking right boot. Sees an open goal square, attacks it and bounces it through. Lovely finish from Damien Mercedes. Kicks the 29th goal of his 108-game VFL career. What a player he's been. 7 years at Port Melbourne. Come across to Box Hill.
And that's something he's really added this year. He's always been a very gifted run and carry halfback flanker, setting up the play for Port Melbourne, and now Box Hill as the skipper. But he's gone forward on occasions and kicked goals. That's goal number 6 for the year, and that is as a genuine halfback flanker. But when he's been used as a forward, he's hit the scoreboard. So very, very damaging player in space.
3 goals in round 1, 2 goals in round 4. Now he's on the board again.
News coming through from the Blues, thanks to their GM of footy, Brad Lloyd. A strained hamstring in the warm-up. Reason Corey Durden came out of the lineup, and Dale Marshall, one of their emergencies, playing. And
he's got a bit of a history of that. His couple of years in the Sandful, suffered hamstring problems. So bad news there for Corey Durden.
And 4 of the bad news is it's 5 in a row so far for the Hawks. It might become 6. Jacket couldn't mark, but the spillage. Mine at the fend off. The return tackle from Kemp will be rewarded. So Brody Kemp, quarter or so into his return to footy after 675 days. This is his 8th touch, but spent plenty of time in his part of the ground so far, as finds Calusi, who chips short. They just can't connect here, Carlton, and stepping over the line and out in the end with Sam Ramsey.
I'm going to watch the matchup of Ed Delaney on Emerson Jekka really closely. I loved his closing speed. Just late to get a fist on that ball inside 50 before. He's 200 centimetres. It's a good athletic combination, those two.
As we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, Dan O'Keefe said he's the most athletic footballer he's ever seen.
Ever.
Ed Delaney.
Wow, at 200 centimetres. That's a big endorsement, but he moves well.
Don't forget Collingwood and Port in the AFL from the MCG to follow this one. 2-on-1 against Crocker here. And the free kick will go the way of the Blue.
You Beasley looked bemused then. He didn't know what was going on.
That's one word for it. Ben Crocker has it just outside his range, you would think.
He's been working super hard this afternoon.
Goes right to the boundary line and then hooks it towards the goal square. Got really good distance on the kick. It was off the hands of Horner. Minor score. So Brownie, as we take a look at that free kick for the nudge there against Beasley, what can the Blues do here to try and wrest momentum back in this contest? They had it early, then they lost it. Now how can they get it back?
Well, the good thing is that they've been structuring up defensively pretty well, so they've managed to stop the goal-kicking capacity of Box Hill. They've just got to grind themselves back into the game here with efforts like this, stoppages.
That was Parks and Kennedy.
Keep the ball locked in their forward 50, give themselves a chance to try and create a goal somewhere.
Gundry will go against Segler in the ruck. Segler gets the tap, and you could see hit it to a man on the move. It was Minor. Beautiful one-handed grab taken by Kemp down the line. The kick came in from Phillips.
Gundry just needs to be a little bit more aggressive in the ruck. The one thing that Segler's doing now that he knows he's dominating is taking the ball out of the ruck a few times, and that just that kills your midfielders. It takes them straight out of the game if the opposition ruckman manages to take it out of the air.
Speaking of Gundry, he receives the pass from Kennedy and then delivers down the line to Ramsey, who's got Kemp strolling past.
Kemp will just run through him, but missed the fist on the handball. Kilpatrick. So here's Segler of Brooksby, in fact, enjoying the size advantage on Parks. And away go the Hawks again. Aducci lost the footing, has time to work it backwards to Newcombe. He's got players off the line. He'll elect to kick deep into a one-on-one. Create a foot race. Pepper almost got eyes on it. Keeps the play alive. Grabs, fends, goals. Brilliant.
One thing really noticeable in this passage of play, when the turnover came, Brownie, sprinting Hawk midfielders, jogging Carlton midfielders.
Yeah, and they had all that space out the back, which was really well utilised. The kick was good. It didn't have to hit a target, just had to be favoured side of Harry Pepper. And he had a couple of opportunities last week, kicked one goal too. He had a good tackle and had a goal that was stolen from him by Brockman. He started this game really well. That was a great finish.
Segler another tap, this time Kennedy, but his handball was smothered by Kilpatrick. Newcombe taken down by Kennedy. Umpire said too high. John Newcombe's 7th touch coming up. Kilpatrick leads the game for the Hawks with 9. He can make that 10. Kicks into the man on the mark. Good work from Honey. Stuck to the task. Horner. Swaney takes him down. Matt Kennedy and Brodie Kemp have both had 10 touches for the Blues. O'Brien's had 9, Crocker 8. For the Hawks, Kilpatrick with 10, 8 to Downey, Saunders, Mercedes and Aducci. Ramsey taken down in the tackle. Now, he didn't actually haul that in, but he's going to be punished, and I think that's his point. He's saying to Ramsey, it was actually Segler who dragged it in underneath. Smart football from the veteran. Chips it inside 50. Fraser Phillips stands underneath it. Pepper arrived late, turned his body. Shannon couldn't get a kick away. Downey's handball intercepted. Flipped over the head of Phillips. Coming in to meet it was Marshall, and he was just clipped high at defensive 50. Can the Blues get something going in this second term? They've kicked 2 behinds to 2 goals from the Hawks, and the margin now out to 32 points.
They've got a lot of players that are just mingling around through the midfield a little bit. The Box Hill defenders have structured up really well behind the footy, so they're going to have to go slow and short kicks like this.
7 of the last 8 majors to the Hawks. Marshall with his second interaction in this play. Crocker flies, works his way free of Segler to Mark. They can get it in deep. He kicks between the hands of Segler and O'Brien. Mark dropped there by Swaney. That was a golden opportunity that goes begging. Swaney then turns tackler on DeWitt. He's had plenty of him.
Yeah, it was a really good opportunity gone begging. Kick was perfect from Crocker. They thought their way through that really well. Didn't get the desired mark inside 50.
Kennedy almost sharked the Segler tap as Mercedes brings out the barrel. Parks and Brooksby back with a flight. Brooksby finds it, kicks in, hope to goal. This channel straight. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's goal of the year.
It's one of the great goals.
Absolutely incredible from Brooksby.
Keegan, how'd you do that? Well, the big torpedo by Mercedes just out of the dangerous space. I reckon all Keegan Brooksby was looking at doing was creating a contest, which he did a great job. The ball's bobbled back. He's picked it up from outside 50 and dribbled it through. Unorthodox ball drop, but he got the desired result. That was an incredible individual act of brilliance.
That beat Dan Howe's goal at the G yesterday?
Oh, it's just very similar. Yeah, probably does. Probably does.
Ball back in the middle of the ground. Segler goes against Petrevski-Seton. Newcombe commits the body. Petrevski-Seton won the football but gave it straight to DeWitt. DeWitt goes in the Pepper direction. He's immediately tackled by Phillips, but it slipped high. He's got DeWitt coming past for a handball. Ignores that. Goes to the second of those options, which is Downey. He goes with the left boot, drives it inside 50. Brooksby versus Delaney. Delaney gets away, just gets the kick. Gundry takes the mark in front of Segler. So the 38-point margin, it's been a closer contest than that, but the Hawks have just been more polished. The Blues have missed opportunities they should have taken as Horner receives from Kilpatrick. Segler, Saunders, brilliant, steps around Parks, can use the man in the pocket. That's outstanding football. He finds Fergus Green. Green then brings it inboard. and delivers to Morris. And there's the difference between the two teams. Box Hill playing with a level of polish and class that the Blues can't match.
The football IQ of Saunders is just magnificent. Good agility too here. Get around the Carlton defender, then the little kick over the top and unselfishly back into the corridor for Morris, who he knows how to kick a goal.
5 goals, 1 last week from his 17 possessions. He's kicked 6 goals, 2 for the season. And the Hawks had another. So lots to like in this attack. Saunders, Morris, Jecker. Lots of talent there for the years to come for the Hawks.
Yep. Lot of skill, a lot of athleticism and some speed on Saunders as well. So they've kicked 9 of the last 10 goals.
Well, it was Ned Reeves last week getting the call-up. Jack Saunders is making a pretty strong case to be on the plane to Darwin to face the Gold Coast Suns at AFL level next week. DeWitt flicks the kick forward to Jecker. This is Harlem Globetrotter stuff from Box Hill at the moment. Jecker's in range, but he's an excellent field kick. Goes looking for green, too much on it. Williamson, a much-needed mark off a Box Hill kick. So Carlton with the oxygen mask dropping from the ceiling here. 44 points adrift as we tick towards time on. Tom North, the former Docker, has it. Kick around his fellow 51 and Aducci, but it was horrible. Horner chops off. He'll walk away from Carroll on the mark, and Williamson will take a second intercept.
I reckon the Blues have missed Radovanovic a little bit down back with his big body and his intercept marking.
Kemp wide for Ramsey. Nash has got speed. He'll try and close him down and does.
Yes, big Stefan Radovanovic out with a groin problem for another week or 2. Toby Wooler, we saw him get beaten up out at West Whitten Oval a couple of weeks ago. He's out for another week with that sore back.
Just the back?
Yeah, as far as we know.
It's the fruit salad of injuries. Incidentally, Kennedy and Kemp with 11 each so far for Carlton. Kilpatrick 11, Downey and Aducci 10 apiece for Box Hill.
Segler in front of Gundry, as Brownie said, just takes it out of the ruck. He's got supreme confidence right now. Ramsey feeds it through to Nunes. Some of these AFL listed, what you might term big name players for the Blues, need to get more involved here to try and turn this around. O'Brien took the mark, but a whistle's gone.
For a push, it's going to Beasley. No, it's going to Hartley.
So it's going back to Michael Hartley, the former Bomber.
Played the 3 AFL games this year.
He goes short to Connor Nash. So we hit time on in the second term. It's been all the Hawks that kicked the last 8 goals of the game. It's been a super impressive performance. Morris steps around Petrevski-Seaton, delivers to the pocket, off the fist of Cody Hurst and out of bounds. And conversely, it's been so impressive from the Hawks, but it's been so disappointing from the Blues. From midway through the opening term, they looked to be right in it for the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, all this quarter's been played in Box Hill's half, and because of that, their forward structure's just fallen down a little bit as the players have had to work more defensively than they have offensively. Just need to start winning some clearances, and it's far too easy for Johnny Segler at the moment.
Segler to mine it. Out of bounds on the full.
Crocker's the deepest now, right in the middle of the ground. Beasley's his opponent. The rest of the forwards have worked all the way up. So when they do win the ball, we'll take a mark here from this free kick. They've really got nowhere to go.
And Crocker's got O'Brien as the third man, sitting off him by about 5 or 6 metres.
Shannon to Phillips to Williamson, back to Phillips. They try and generate some run, but it's all wide. Nunes to Shannon on his left. The stretch, Kennedy, and again, chance to set up a chain of possession goes begging for Carlton.
It was a drop mark, but if you're a Box Hill defender, you almost don't mind if they're marking the ball 1 metre in from the boundary line on the far side. It's very hard to attack from that wide on the wing. Segler works him under the ball, takes it out of the ruck. So they need to make a change at half-time. I'm not sure who can go into the ruck, but that's not working.
As Parks takes the mark low down, it's 15 inside 50s to 4 in the quarter so far 4 straight to 2 behinds is what Box Hill have taken advantage of as Jack Nunes. Carroll, it was a casual attempt and O'Brien will make him pay. Aducci gets a scooting. Receives back from Morris on the half volley to Brooksby, who'll thump it again. It's 2-on-2 forward. One of them's green. Did he have the arms chopped? He did. Parks infringes. He'll protest. It'll fall on deaf ears.
I just want to have a good hard look at this replay.
Hooks him around the chin.
Yeah, it wasn't the chopping of the arms from the initial spoil. It was the follow-through, I reckon, that then infringed. But quick ball movement makes it very, very difficult, even for a really high-quality key defender like Parks.
Didn't play last week, Fergus Green. Kicked 3 majors in the opening 2 rounds, respectively. 5 goals in round 3, and then just the one against Werribee in the loss in round 4. Back into the lineup today, and the former Bulldog makes it 5 unanswered in the second for Box Hill.
The first possession around the stoppage is 22-10 in favour of the Hawks. They're just walking it out of there.
And just a couple of drop marks as well, going forward of centre for the Blues. They could have had a few shots on goal had they not dropped them. Ball gets turned over, goes straight up the other end really quickly, puts your defenders on the back foot.
Segler versus Gundry. Gundry confronted by Newcomb. Petrevski-Seaton pokes it forward. Horner will get there first for the Hawks. Uses O'Brien. He's confronted by Marshall and just turns beautifully. Delivers short and finds Mercedes. It's been a really, really impressive first half from Box Hill. As we mentioned, they're always there and thereabouts in this competition. Played 10 of the last 11 final series, 4 of the last 7 grand finals in the VFL. Nothing to suggest they won't be there when the whips are cracking again as Shannon gives it to Petrevski-Seaton. Swaney, great rundown from Saunders. Great desperation from the youngster. Through the legs of Kilpatrick. Support numbers, as they have been since halfway through the first term, are all Box Hill as Aducci spreads it to Nash. Nash to Jecker. And he marks in front of Delaney.
And Connor Nash coming up for disposal. He's had 8 disposals. Jecker, he's kicked the 3.
This time he delivers inside 50. Phillips has got it.
Well, we get a shot on goal purely because of this defensive work rate from Saunders. On the wing, desperation to dive across the opposition's boot, forces the turnover. And Emerson Jecker, nice kick into some space. Phillips gets the footy, but don't just love the offensive work from Saunders when he's got the ball in his hands, but it's that sort of stuff too that...
He's kicking the door down at AFL level, Jack Saunders, as Ned Reeves did last week. This is Ed Phillips. And they are taking full toll. It has been a brown and gold avalanche since midway through the opening quarter.
It's been a flawless quarter of football, really. Their skill level just looks a class above. They've taken their chances in front of goals. They're running hard forward now because they know that they're going to win the footy.
Not quite feet on the dashboard time for Sam Mitchell, but he'd be enjoying what he's seeing in this quarter. They've peeled off 6 majors in the best part of 18 minutes. Petrevski-Seaton involved. North, Kemp. Everything's under pressure, though, from a Carlton point of view. DeWitt got the fist in on Marshall. Carroll spun the full 360 and then some. And again, it's not all pretty from Box Hill. There's pressure attached to it as well. Wide kick, Jecker on a hustling lead. At the fall, the most recent goal kicker in Phillips. Inboard for Kilpatrick. He'll just have his way around Petrevski-Seaton. Gives it back to Phillips. Another entry. Green couldn't mark. Morris with 3 to beat. Again, it's Saunders with the tackle, who sets up another goal. Green with 2.
Well, the Box Hill players have time and space. It wasn't perfect football out here on the wing. There was a couple of missed handballs, but the players had time to make decisions. Phillips kicks it in here, and look at this effort.
The hunt.
Yep. We just highlighted the smother on the wing on that occasion. There was a tackle inside forward 50 that just spilt the ball out It results in an easy goal. And that probably doesn't even go down as an effective tackle because he didn't stick it long enough. But
the pressure points that you accumulate now, and as much as they've played pretty in these conditions, it's the hustle that I'm tipping Sam Mitchell and his coaching staff are going to laud at half-time.
Yeah, and when they like to not just beat sides, they like to really put them away. You know, last week, their last quarter, 9 goals won from 13 inside 50s. They smelt blood, and they weren't content just to have a 10-goal victory. It turned out to be 108 points.
Mined in their scrapping. Brooksby getting his knees dirty as well. Newcomb's handball to DeWitt. He feeds it backwards to Mercedes, and now Hartley. Again, good ball use. Finds Newcomb. Goes to the outside. They've just got a multitude of options every time they have the football. Nash gives it off, and Brockman tries to measure the kick to mine it, but it's cut off by North.
So he's got no one ahead of him that he can go to at the moment, so he's got to hold the footy up as all the Carlton mids and forwards transition back.
Josh Honey brings it inboard, finds Tom North. Thought about the lateral option to Phillips. Chips it short down the line. Finds Calusi. Just his third touch is a turnover. And Beasley cuts it off.
And a couple of Carlton forwards too, just hanging their hands out saying, what sort of kick was that to the mids? So a little bit of disconnect there between the mids and the forwards now for Carlton.
Beasley receives from Mercedes, and now they switch. Phillips, he's got Saunders working hard. Instead he switches back. So just try to take some time off the clock late in the term. O'Brien to Newcomb. Newcomb's 10th touch for the half coming up.
He's picking them apart now.
This is Mason DeWitt. Well, they could barely be more impressive in this first half, Box Hill. Newcomb again into the hole. It's a disconsolate Carlton side at the moment. Got to find something in the second half, the Blues. Coming across the contest was Parks. Jekka tries to feed a handball through to the speed of Morris. Look at him light up the Jets. Runs to 35, runs to 25, and the siren will just beat him. What a first half of football from Box Hill. They piled it on from midway through the opening quarter, and at half-time, they lead by 62 points. It's Box Hill 13-6-84. Carlton 3-4-22 on 7's VFL Match of the Day as we head to Sunday Footy Fest. Here's Abby. Yes, thanks, Abby. Really impressive performance, wasn't it, from Box Hill? They kicked the last 11 goals of this game. It was a really even contest in the first half of the first quarter. But Box Hill just took complete control, Brownie, and it all started in the ruck with Jonathan Segler. They took full advantage, and didn't they make the Blues pay? He's
been dominant in the middle of the ground. 8 disposals, 5 of them clearances, just taking the ball out of the ruck and surging it forward. This was a great goal here from Pepper, who's enjoying his time as a forward and the freedom. And one of the best goals we've seen in a long time. Good, strong contest, follow-up, dribbling ball, straight through for a brilliant goal. But when they get time and space, Box Hill, they really do make you pay. This is a side that's got a lot of players that are highly skilled. They're good decision makers, and if you don't put pressure on them and force them into error, they just slice you apart.
What have you made of Brody Kemp's game? His first game for the Blues, leads the game for them with 12 possessions.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. Hasn't played for nearly 2 years, and he's adjusting to VFL standards. He's tried to throw a bit of candy around and got caught, but for his first game, he's been a clear standout. They just need a lift from some of their senior guys. Nunes, O'Brien, they find the football okay, but they're getting hammered in clearances, and they need to start winning the ball and getting the game back on their terms a little bit.
It all starts here for the Blues. They trail by 62 points as we start the second half on 7 VFL's Match of the Day.
With a record bounce. 11 of Box Hill's 13 goals coming from turnovers. As Jace touched on, you've dominated the contest since the midpoint of the opening quarter. Segler v Gundry. Newcomb is closed down by a couple of Blues, and you'd expect we're going to see some sort of physical response to more pressure from Carlton in the early minutes. At least we'd hope so.
Yeah, absolutely, especially around the stoppages here. You want to see Gundry being a little bit more aggressive. See, that's better. In the first half, that would have been an easy clearance for Box Hill. Now, they still get the clearance, but at least it's a slow play.
Effort there from Nunes, but not quite the execution as Kilpatrick heads towards Jekka. Parks had the customary recovery. Kick finds Lachlan Swaney on his VFL debut to Nunes.
They got Parsons on too, overlap if they can use him.
Nunes playing just his 10th VFL game to go with 180 at the highest level. Ramsey back to Nunes. He retreats for Williamson, so 33 to 32 to 31. Williamson kicks it the width of the square looking for Kemp. He'll step inside Green and put the Blues inside 50 with a careful kick that wanted Kennedy. Kilpatrick somehow extracts it free, and again, Box Hill off to the races.
Morris can go long. He's got a man over the back. Parks is going to come back with courage and did it really well. Smashed it away from Jekka. But once again, we see the difference in the teams. That kick from Kemp doesn't hit the target. Box Hill was clinical going forward in that second term.
Yeah, they certainly were. That was an outstanding spell there from Luke Parks, former Sydney Swan Academy player, relocated to South Australia. It was good for Glenelg, gets his chance at Carlton, and aerially, he's been brilliant with his marking and spoils like that, because Jekka would have been away then if he allowed the ball to get over the back.
The Blues have got Kennedy, Nunes, Honey, O'Brien, all AFL listed players around the contest at the moment. Brownie, you mentioned the numbers. Kennedy's had 11, Nunes has had 11, Williamson 10, O'Brien, Petrevski, Seaton, Ramsey all 9, but they just haven't had the influence.
No, that's right. And Lockie O'Brien, he knows why he's not playing at AFL level at the moment. He needs to focus on clearances, contested football, some of that grunt work. At the moment, well, in the first half, he just wasn't doing that. Petrevski, Seaton as well. You know, at this standard, he should be finding a bit more of the footy.
Stevens goes back and does find it. Then looks to switch with a lovely kick to Kemp, who can get it and go. Runs to defensive 50. Nice delivery to Ramsey. And the Blues were hitting their targets early in the game, but from midway through the opening term, they just couldn't chain those possessions together. This is Swaney. Brought the cheer squad this afternoon, Lockie Swaney, for his VFL debut off the hands of Honey. Taken by Downey, and he floats a kick nicely to find Fergus Green.
Kicked a couple in that second quarter where Box Hill peeled off 7 unanswered. Brooksby was amongst the scorers as one of the most spectacular goals we've seen this season.
He's got really good hands, doesn't he, Keegan?
31-year-old, the epitome of a journeyman. 3 AFL clubs, all as a top-up. Inboard Segler. Horner points him in the direction of Porter, who can go short or long. Elects to go long. The fly will come from Gundry, staying down Green. Hand off, a couple of options. One of them, Morris, keeps the hands free. Aducci. Jekka couldn't slice it back on the left and almost puts it into the building site.
Quick restart from Nunes. Drives it low to a one-on-one. Yeah, nice work from Masidi to punch it away from Ben Calusi, who's been quiet this afternoon. Just 3 touches for him. You mentioned James Parsons earlier. Just 4 for James Parsons, averaging 20 a game this season. He's been one of their prime movers. Hasn't been able to get into the game. Minor, Newcomb, Kilpatrick. Another delivery inside 50. Williamson back there to try and tidy it up for the Blues. He's confronted by Saunders. Kemp spilt it. Williamson and Saunders now wrestle for it. There's just a little microcosm of what we've seen this afternoon.
11 AFL-listed Hawthorn players in Box Hill's team. 10 AFL-listed Carlton players. Corey Durden, incidentally, was a late out. Hurt his hamstring in the warm-up, so Dale Marshall, a call-up after playing for Rosebud against Frankston YCW in the MPNFL competition yesterday. But a golfing experience amongst the VFL allotments, Jace. You mentioned James Parsons. He and Ben Crocker, the only 2 Carlton VFL-listed players with more than 30 games at the level. Box Hill have 8 in their lineup this afternoon, and it's certainly showing with strong performances from Masidi, Aducci, Kilpatrick, amongst them Brooksby out of the ruck, and behind misses to the right-hand side. So again, it's taken us 5 minutes to get our first score of the third quarter, as it did the second.
Hurst kick in to Parks. Looks down the line. He's got Gundry against Hartley. There's Parsons working short. Gets on the end of it. They need some spark from the likes of Parsons and Crocker, who've been prime movers for them so far this season. Parsons, we know, is a thumping kick. He'll go for distance in the Crocker direction. Can't get to the front against Segler. Petrevski-Seton tried to paddle it through. Segler took it and did well. Got it out the back towards Horner. He's going to be confronted by three. Ducked the head. Umpire said play on and will then punish. Petrevski-Seton earns the free kick. Gives it off to Williamson. Wants to get onto his left boot. And Spirit low towards Kennedy at the top of the square. Off hands, Kennedy and Newcombe will walk it over. Joe Newcombe had 12 possessions so far in the game.
It was their first inside 50 for ages that they got it really deep into a dangerous spot. The inside 50s in the second term were really shallow around the 40-metre mark that Box Hill just picked off.
Kemp flew over the top. Brooksby casting the roll of a rover off to Horner, and a chance to get out the back here for Green.
He'll collect it. He's got a one-on-one inside 50. Decides not to go to Jecker at the first opportunity. Kicks it around Stevens now. Jecker with the second lead couldn't take the mark, but Box Hill again work it quickly from back to front. Luke Parks looking for some help up the ground. Look at those inside 50 numbers. A golf plus 28 the way of Box Hill.
You never see him get frustrated though, Emerson Jecker. He had every right then to sort of say to Green, get the ball in. You did a U-turn that cost him, but just casually walks back to his position. It reminds me of Mark Waugh. He does. Very casual.
Missed the fist, and again, Box Hill pressure creates another shot at goal.
I've just compared a footballer to a cricketer.
Cricketer from 30 years ago.
But nice, and you never saw him too upset, but very skillful and gifted.
We just play on for that sort of stuff now. Like, that doesn't even make your top 10 over the last 6 years. Incidentally, a positive from a Carlton point of view, Sam Petrevski-Seton had 10 tackles total in his first 8 AFL games this year. He's had 8 today. It's clearly been a focus.
Reminds me of Buzz Aldrin, you know.
So Connor Nash to try and kick his 3rd VFL goal of the season. Box Hill's 14th of the afternoon. They're making every post a winner.
Good tackle. He did get a fist to that, but incorrect disposal, holding the ball, and a nice finish. He started on the wing this afternoon. He's been moving really well defensively and chimes in with a goal.
So a string of 12 consecutive goals for the Hawks. Kennedy's going to be shut down. This is Ed Phillips. Jecker, the main target. Delaney got a hand to it. Hurst at ground level, beaten to the football by Morris. Williamson takes him down. Some electrifying prospects in that forward 50. Morris, Saunders, Brockman. Jecker is the tall. Brooksby in there as well. Got the tap down to Parsons, who stripped of the football. It spills to Minot. He has a flying shot at goal and just misses left.
It's a very hard forward line to transition the ball out of. Opposition teams have found when Box Hill lock the ball inside their forward 50, their forward pressure is good enough to force that hack kick out or a turnover and come straight back in quite often.
Phillips goes looking for Jack Carroll, collects it on the bounce and goes back to Ramsey, whose left football is out on the fall, and that's just colouring outside the lines of what's necessary at this level, let alone AFL.
Yep, and that's the recipe for good sides. Repeat forward 50 entries, keeping the ball, you know, having the game played in your forward half.
Kilpatrick casually to Connor Downey. Kilpatrick has had a game-high 17, incidentally. Downey heads for Jecker. Through the legs of Brockman. Aducci for his 3rd. He can sniff a goal from everywhere.
Oh, he loves them too. Classic front and square roving. He's put himself in the right spot. Threw the ball on the boot, and he's got 3 now. So very good contributor to Box Hill's forward 50 this year, 8 goals.
It's been the first uncompetitive performance from the Blues all year. They lost by a point to Southport after leading by 5 goals in the opening round, then beat Brisbane, beat Essendon, and then we saw them against Footscray at the Whitten Oval a couple of weeks ago, and they came storming back, got right into the game, and in the end lost by 3 goals. But today the wheels have really come off.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they've just been completely outplayed here, and you're looking for a response from some of their senior midfielders.
Minot to Kilpatrick, run down by Swaney. That opens the door now for Kennedy to sizzle one inside 50. Beasley came out and attacked it. Ineffective handball. Shannon tried to get it to Marshall. Umpire was on the right side to see that it was a throw.
Boxhill's tackling has been, a real feature today as well. They're really hunting after the Blues, turning the ball over.
Masidi to O'Brien. Their ability to spread the field and beat the Blues at their own game, really. Horner now to Porter, and use the ball so well. Brownie, their ball movement and usage has been outstanding.
Yep, and they got Phillips on here.
They've just been able to string together these possession chains that the Blues have not been able to. Back the other way. Every time Carlton players have looked up across half-back, the options have been closed down immediately, which suggests the Hawks have just been working a little harder in both directions. And down his kick, delightful to Minot. Minot now delivers it inside 50. Jekka comes out on the lead, spills off the hands of the contest. Stevens to try and tidy it up. Gave it off to Williamson. Wants to go for a run. Has a bounce. Pops a handball laterally. O'Brien on his left. And again misses a target. Was going for Marshall. Almost put it onto the chest of DeWitt. Marshall now under pressure. O'Brien will go at it again. One-on-one with Nash in the end. Dribbles out.
But unless you put pressure on the ball carrier, at this level, every single player has the capabilities to hit a target 15, 20 metres away. So they pick them apart because there's never too much pressure on the ball carrier, and quite often the player trails in, he doesn't even stand the mark aggressively and force them to kick over the hands.
Don't forget Pies Port to follow this one in the AFL from the MCG. Ed Phillips to Minot, crosses 50, probably doesn't have the range or the accuracy, and Fraser Phillips happy to see it over the line and out. So another forward 50 stoppage. Trent Minot, the former Essendon rookie lister, 15 possessions this afternoon, 5 tackles, 6 inside 50s. 4 clearances. He's been so busy around the contest, and Chris Monaghan, Dan Napoli and the recruiting team at Box Hill have again loaded their list with very good talent. As Brockman flicks a ball at it, and the Hawks move their way to 99.
O'Brien with the kick in. Delivers to the chest of Kennedy. Williamson working hard towards the wing. That hard work's going to be rewarded, and that was a beautiful kick. Williamson now gives it off to Calusi. Over the head of Crocker, works his man under the football. He's now got a couple of metres on Beasley, who works hard to try and close him down. Crocker keeps his feet, delivers to Swaney and finds him inside 50. And there's the Lockie Swaney cheer squad. Family and friends here, the youngster from East Sydney, making his VFL debut. Chips it towards the square. Numbers up to smash it away from Josh Honey. There's Keegan Brooksby.
That forward 50 entry came about, though, as you mentioned, from just a really good work rate from Tom Williamson, who's playing down back, but he just decided he'd run out to the wing and take the game on a little bit, found the footy, and all of a sudden they had a little bit of cohesion and run and carry.
So where's the movement here from the Blues to try and snap this run of 13 straight Hawk goals? Newcomb to Porter, it won't be here. Almost one-handed was Morris. Phillips was almost in the back. Strong tackling work applied from Parks on Downey. And the ball will stay within the vicinity of Carlton's goal. Connor Downey on screen with 14 so far this afternoon. Gundry gets a right over the top of Brooksby. North tackles Minot. Eastern Rangers products going toe-to-toe. It's been a dominant performance from Brooksby and Segler, not surprisingly, against the second gamer, Aaron Gundry. Kennedy releases for North, so another repeat entry here for the Blues. Crocker gets a moment. Was there a hold? Almost. Couldn't take the mark. Petrevsky-Seaton on crumbing duties. Honey with athleticism, power, Has he got the class to go with it? It'll trickle its way to the line, and again, the Blues are denied. Mercedes in the right spot as always.
Impressive little glimpse again from Honey, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's just got that goal sense, doesn't he? Under a lot of pressure there. He was only millimetres away from kicking his third.
Nash's kick is wide, was looking for Newcomb. And Lockie O'Brien will be the recipient. 60 metres from goal. There's what he's got in front of him. He's got Crocker at the top of the square, now leads to the pocket. Doesn't head in that direction, instead goes to Shannon. That was a beautiful kick. It was touched, so Shannon has to play on. Bends at goalward and just misses.
Beautiful kick from O'Brien.
Just clipped the fingertips of the Hawk defender on the way through. So Shannon was forced to turn and snap quickly. And DeWitt has the kick-in duties.
So nearly 2 full quarters since Carlton have kicked a goal.
Josh Honey's second of the game, as it was at the 17-minute mark of the opening quarter. DeWitt continues to run, punches it on the left. Saunders got a hand in on Kemp, but this is the headline story of the afternoon so far from a Carlton point of view. Brodie Kemp on his return from an ACL and also syndesmosis has had a Carlton leading 15 possessions.
Yeah, he's been brilliant. He's been working really hard with Luke Power to continue to develop his game, even while injured.
Warner wore the fist from Marshall. Comes inboard for Brooksby. They can load up here, the Hawks. Aducci went into the pocket. Segler almost forgot to leave. Huge contest here between Parsons and Newcomb wins the day and again puts his name in front of the AFL recruiters here, having a look at the mid-season rookie draft talent. Brooksby to Kilpatrick, perhaps doing similar. He goes deeper for Jecker. Horrible bounce, favours Saunders. He misses a golden opportunity, knows it too. The Hawks make their way past 3 figures once again.
And that sort of afternoon, everything going Box Hill's way. That ball could not have bounced any better for Saunders.
Good desperate lunging effort from Kemp there to force the behind, and there's almost another turnover in the forward half. Kilpatrick goes to ground. North takes on the tackler, keeps it in front of himself, tries to get it to Hurst, turns, releases to Carroll. North manages to get away from Jecker, but look at the pressure the Blues are under when they've got the football, and compare it to what the Hawks are dealing with. Ramsey down the line. Shannon wants to bring it inboard, but the kick's to the advantage of the defender. And O'Brien easily cuts it off.
And now it's just a bit of perceived pressure as well on the Carlton players. Shannon had Parsons over the top for an easy handball and just forced him into a quick kick that O'Brien picked off.
Hurst managed to pick off the Kilpatrick kick and gave it to Parks. Now to Phillips. Stevens the run from behind. Saunders applies the pressure. Kick towards the pocket. Nunes punched away by DeWitt. And out it goes. As we take you around the grounds. Games in action this afternoon. Casey and Sydney. 17 minutes gone in the second term, and it's the Swans by goal. Round 6 of VFL action. Winners so far: Geelong, Southport, Footscray, Richmond, GWS, Sandringham and North Melbourne.
We now take you to Collingwood and Port Adelaide. 11 matches around sometimes. Of course, that match between the D's and the Swans is the match that was rescheduled from round 4 as a result of the COVID scare in Sydney. Dan O'Keefe watching on, and all the good work the Blues have done to establish a pretty healthy percentage is getting eroded quickly here this afternoon. Free kick will go the way of Carlton and Tom North. So we're into time on, as Brownie touched on. Carlton without a goal in over 2 quarters of footy now. 13 straight to a sizzling Box Hill.
So Box Hill have dropped 2 spares behind the footy. One, the ruckman in Segler, and the other is DeWitt. So that's the reason, if you're wondering, watching the TV screen, why Carlton didn't just go long inside the forward 50.
So 11 inside 50s to 6 for the quarter. Box Hill's 11 yielding 2-4. Just 2 behinds from the Blues. 6 entries thus far.
James Parsons is now the ruckman against Jonathan Segler, giving up 25 centimetres.
Newcomb, his 4th possession of the quarter. It's a wide one to Kilpatrick, who's been huge in this term. This will be his 8th touch, the most of any player on the ground. Short and inboard for DeWitt.
He's been in the system for a while, Braden Kilpatrick. This is his 39th VFL game this afternoon. Still just 23 years of age. Nudge, as you mentioned, his form at the moment, 34 last week. Putting himself on AFL radars as O'Brien goes to Masiti. Over the head of Ramsey, who's now got to track it back. Aducci versus Hurst. Hurst really quick. Handball's a little slick for Ramsey. Aducci just farms it out. Porter, Minor, delivers inside 50. Jekka comes out to meet it. He's got a couple of options in the corridor, and he delivers it to Ed Phillips.
Yeah, it was a good 50-50 win from Hurst.
And then Phillips pops another over the top. And Dan O'Keefe would be very unhappy with what he's seeing there.
They've switched off the fumble from Ramsey was all it took. Open the door for the Box Hill midfielders to swoop on it. Jekka takes the mark. They could have gone further afield to Brooksby, square it up, and I think the Blues have put the cue in the rack. Still with a quarter to go. This is not great signs.
Last 3 games, 25, 34. And this afternoon he's coming up to 22 possessions. And a miss. Braden Kilpatrick, originally from the Ramsgate Rams in New South Wales, St George, and these days plays local footy at South Croydon. But in this sort of form, he won't be seeing much of the Bulldogs.
Wide kick, looking for Carroll, 1-on-1. Newcomb, handball for Minot, has to put it in reverse to Segler. They work the triangle beautifully again. Newcomb loads up deep on the right. Flyers will come. Saunders was looking for a launch pad, couldn't get one. You'd be disappointed if the Ramsgate Rams was something else like the Ramsgate Dockers.
Yes, the Ramsgate Blues or something.
There's a lot of teams that are inland that have the Dockers as their nickname, which makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, the Gates were the other option, but it was a swing vote, and in the end they went the Rams.
So we've got a free kick here. It'll go the way of Box Hill. Looks like Minot will be the recipient, so he'll kick this in the shadows of the Carlton Training Centre. Try and kick our first major in 13 minutes of footy. It's the biggest drought of the afternoon goal-wise. Well, he kicked an absolutely brilliant one last week on the right from the boundary. This time on the left, hits the wrong side of the footy, goes right across the face, almost got it to Brooksby. He claims there was a finger on it. He says he touched it. It will fall on deaf ears, and Luke Parks will take the free.
Never heard an umpire go, "Oh, did you, mate?" Right, I mean, we'll throw it in.
You look trustworthy.
You have a kind face.
Well, you would never have heard that, Brownie, as Parks goes long. The mark's taken by Hartley. Hartley goes to Kilpatrick. The fact that you're telling the umpire as opposed to sort of suggesting probably made a difference, as well as Saunders has to stand up and take the contact.
This is the reason I just was a little bit critical of Carlton. You can lose. We saw North Melbourne lose by 100 points last week, and we all went away from that game going, gee, they competed, they tried hard. You know, they fell away a little bit late, and the margin blew out. They've conceded 5 or 6 marks now, uncontested, no work rate to get there, easy as you like, and we've still got a quarter to go.
They've kicked 13 in a row. Jack Saunders gets his second. Marks inside 50 for the term, 5-1 in favour of Box Hill.
And they've been second and third marks. You know, you can allow the 1 mark for Jekka at the 45, but then to wheel it and kick it into the corridor, find another, chip it again, find another.
So that goal from Saunders, their 14th unanswered.
It's 14-7 to 6 behind since Josh Honey's goal, the 17-minute mark of the opening quarter.
And that's just devastating for the Blues, and all the work they've done so far this season being so competitive. This afternoon it has gone horribly wrong.
Segler is read better by Kennedy, who can release it now for Gundry. Wide for O'Brien. Releasing is Calusi. Better build up here. Nunes owes them one. Goes looking for Crocker again. Beasley's been like a second skin on Crocker this afternoon, and now desperate over the top of Nunes. The Hawks pile in at the bottom. Masidi at the base, setting the agenda for Box Hill this afternoon.
He's very, very good at just getting a hand in, just hitting the body enough upon your leap and trying to mark it to force a fumble.
Segler slapped it. Parsons dropped it. Minot fumbly ball comes towards Downey. He was almost being held by Williamson as he wanted to go back after it.
So, Brownie, around the stoppages, sometimes you can see a dominant ruckman doesn't have dominant clearances because the other team can shark the ruckman effectively. What can Carlton do here? And what aren't they doing?
Well, they can be a little bit more accountable to their direct opponent. And the other thing is you just need your ruckman to compete enough to not allow Segler to take the ball out of the air.
Well, it was case in point. Newcomb was the one standing free there at that clearance. He gets the footy. 34-16 clearances this afternoon.
Well, the sweep is really important there because they're the ones that if they do win it, they can't come out of the front of the stoppage into some clear air and get that overlap. So
there's Patrick again on his own.
Yep. They're playing their own game, Carlton, around the stoppages, and it's not working. Great attack here from Porter. They've got the wind at their back here. Brooksby makes the contest. Where are the Crummers? Stevens to Delaney. Goes wide for Ramsey. Catch and release for Kennedy. Now to the outside for Phillips. He's got Petrevski-Seton working off him if he wants to go there. Decides to go deeper. Looking for North, who should give the handball. Once again, free players not being used. Short for Parsons once and twice to take the mark. So James Parsons, he's just about in range. He's got Williamson on the other side of the contest, you can see towards the bottom of your screens there. Parson runs an arc and then that's a mung. Horner couldn't mark, but it matters little.
So all VFL clubs, AFL clubs have their midfield structures that you go into a game with, and you back your midfield in. You might change the personnel around a little bit. You back your system in, but when it's broken down now for 3 successive quarters, you might just need to tweak a couple of things.
Go back to one-on-one around the stoppages.
Play
Segler again.
Patrick a little bit tighter because he's the guy that's been getting them the most, or have that sweeper back a little bit further, so at least if you do lose it, he can come in and force a kick over the fingernails, little things like that. But their midfield still seem to think that they're being dominant in there, not really changing too much up.
Ramsey to Kennedy, kick towards Nunes. O'Brien tracks it to the line, keeps it alive, pops a handball in the Nunes direction. He goes hunting Horner. Flipped on, Newcomb. Through traffic to Downey. Now Minot. He accelerates off half-back. Lovely delivery again to Jecker. Turns, looks up, delivers long and flat inside 50. Saunders works his man under the football. Phillips. Bouncing ball towards the line. And is that a hold? It is. It was a 3-on-1. The Blues had the numbers, yet Saunders comes up with the football.
It's a little bit sloppy. We're seeing very different forward 50 entries from these two sides.
He's already kicked 2 goals, 1.
He's had a nice afternoon.
Wheels around and misses to the near side.
Just on the clearances, boys. So Newcomb 8, Segler 6, Minot 5, Kilpatrick 4, Matt Kennedy 6 for Carlton, Petrevski-Seton 2, and then a handful of 1s. Surprised they haven't identified it was going to be an issue for them coming into the game with Aaron Gundry in just his second VFL match, conceding height, weight and experience to Jonathan Segler, but then also not having really a partner in crime. Segler's been able to have a chop out from Keegan Brooksby throughout the afternoon.
And even beyond the rucks, the pure numbers suggest all year that Hawks are an inside team, the Blues are an outside team. It was always going to be a weakness.
Haven't contained the bushfire there, Carlton, as Honey, one of their few shining lights, he's had a limited amount of supply from centre wing. Hits the kick for Calusi, who should run away from Hartley here. Assesses his options, comes in board. One of them, Shannon.
Oh, well done.
O'Brien read it best. At the drop, North, can they finally break this drought? They'll do so with a floater from Tom North. Well, it's been a long, long time coming from the 17-minute mark of the opening quarter. It takes until the 31-minute mark on the edge of three-quarter time for Tom North to break a run of 14 unanswered goals. He kicks his 3rd of the season and one of the better build-ups we've seen.
Yeah, it was good transition. They had a spare man out in the wing who they found. A quick kick to Calusi, who took the mark and immediately played on. And Tim O'Brien came across, might have been able to take the mark, but did the double-handed spoil, fell into the path of Tom North, who who finished with a nice classy snap there, and to say they needed that is an understatement. The game is done and dusted, but you just like to see in this last quarter, I'm sure their coaching staff will just implore them, try and win the quarter, try and win some of the clearances. Let's try and get on top in a few areas so it's not a complete wipeout this afternoon. We can take some positives away and work on them.
So that was a 14-goal run snapped, 14 goals for the Hawks. The Blues get their 4th, margin back to 78 points. There's a free kick.
What's going on? This umpire was 85 metres away.
He's coming down to speak to Ben Crocker and Hugh Beasley in the goal square. It's going to be a free kick to Ben Crocker. 75 metres off the ball.
I'd be gobsmacked if he was able to see anything there.
Hugh Beasley's swinging his head around asking the umpires what for.
Gee whiz. Hugh Beasley's got no idea what that was for.
Can only presume it was a holding decision.
Well, I had my eyes down there. I didn't see any holding. Unless the goal umpire can communicate to a field umpire. They've got the headpieces in. I'm not too sure, but I can say I know exactly where he was standing. It was on the point of the square, which is a good 65, 70 metres away.
Was he in the square or outside the square? That's the only other possibility. If it wasn't a hold, that maybe he wasn't in the goal square at the bounce, which is where you need to be.
No, they were in there. Yeah, who knows?
So they're the only 2 possibilities, really.
He doesn't know. 2 goals in a minute. And there's a bit of life back into this contest, Jace. That's all that matters.
Yeah, very little.
Here we go.
33.5 minutes gone, 3rd term, margin back to 72 points. It's going to be a Hawthorn or a Hawks free kick and a 50 after Matt Kennedy boots the ball inside the forward 50 for the Blues. It's going to come back the other way. Frustrating afternoon for all concerned in the dark navy blue.
Game's moved about 200 metres with 4 possessions.
No one's touching the ball.
And 36 players have no idea what's going on.
And 3 commentators.
And a special comments guy.
Consider yourself separate to the group, do you? Here's Ed Phillips. 45 out. Brownie's...
I'm pretty sure.
Well, he's got Matt's issues, but he's also promoting his solo career as Phillips misses left. Out of interest, who do you think the 3rd commentator was?
The boundary rider.
Which is who today?
Marcel Marceau. Parks was read by Minor. He was just a nanosecond late on the scene for Kennedy, and there's some angst amongst both teams beyond the 30-minute mark. Lengthy quarter. And that's saying something, given we've only had 3 goals to 2. The 2 Carlton goals coming at the 31 and 32-minute mark. So Ben Calusi has the final touch of a quarter, once again dominated by Box Hill. 2 late goals to Carlton. And the margin is 73 in favour of Box Hill at 3/4 time on 7's VFL.
Spectacular autumn day in Melbourne. We're at Icon Park. It's our 7 VFL match of the day. Let's check the highlights thanks to the 3-litre Isuzu D-Max, and most of those highlights have been brown and gold. Hawks have been absolutely outstanding. Right from the outset, the Blues hung with them for the first half of the first quarter, and the Hawks just kept on going. At one point, booting 14 unanswered goals. Harry Pepper got on the board there. Damien Mercedes launched it long from half-back. One of the goals of the year to big Keegan Brooksby. Gathered off balance from 52 metres, dribbled it through for a goal. They've had the answers at both ends of the ground this afternoon. Aducci's been busy. He's bobbed up and kicked 3 goals. And at 3/4 time, what a performance so far from the Box Hill Hawks. They're 16-13, 109. Carlton 5-6, 36. The margin out to 73 points. They booted 3 goals, 7 to 2-2 in that second term. So the quarter margins 22, 62 and 73 points. Brownies, we take a look at the overall numbers. The inside 50 count really blown out, 56-27.
And the most impressive thing probably from a Box Hill perspective is Emerson Jecker's got the most on the ground with 3. They have 11 individual goal kickers, another 4 players that have had shots on goal. So it's been a really good spread across the board offensively for the Hawks.
A couple of other games going on in round 6 of VFL action this afternoon. Casey and Sydney at Casey Fields, and at half-time it's a tight one. The D's up by a point, 4-6 to 4-5. Jay Lockhart with 14 possessions, O'Riordan with 19 for the Swans. And the Bull Ants taking on Werribee at Preston City Oval as well this afternoon to round out round 6 of football.
Watching for the Blues.
And it's Werribee getting the jump on the Ants. They've kicked the first 3 goals of the game. Winners so far: Geelong, Southport, Footscray, Richmond, GWS, Sandringham, North Melbourne. And the Hawks well on their way here with 1 quarter to play. They lead by 73 points. Braden Kilpatrick's been outstanding with 24 possessions. Minot has had 20. Newcomb's had 19. You know, we've said it a lot this afternoon. It's all started around the stoppages this afternoon as we head downstairs into the Box Hill huddle and Coach Sam Mitchell. Sam, what's pleased you most through the first 3 quarters?
Our consistency of effort has been strong. I think that the small things well. You know, clearly we've had an upside with the ruckman, having a bit of an advantage there, but we've made the most of it, been able to lock it in our front half for most of the game.
Good spread of goal kickers too, Sammy Ford of centre. Everyone's chiming in.
Yeah, it was good. A few too many point kickers in that quarter for my liking, but good that we're able to spread a bit of the love in that front half. But we'd like to finish the game a little bit better than we did in that quarter there.
So 1 quarter to play, 73 points up. What is the message?
Just stay consistent with our standards and what we're about as a club, and make sure we can remain true. You know, we don't want some guys working really hard doing the right thing and other guys dropping off, so we want that consistency.
Appreciate your time, Sam.
Thanks,
Best of luck for the final term.
Cheers.
Boys went out and clarified the Beasley-Crocker incident with the umpires. They were good enough to share the insight that it was for a clenched fist off the ball. No report, but Beasley clearly infringing on Crocker. Umpire off ball closest to the incident spotted it, free kick paid, and obviously that was where Ben Crocker was able to kick that goal.
His first of the afternoon and his 17th of the season.
He's done a good job, Hugh Beasley, today.
And Jonathan Segler, as Sam Mitchell mentioned, they've had the advantage in the ruck this afternoon, but as we said during the call, sometimes you exploit that advantage and sometimes you don't. And this afternoon, Box Hill have done a superb job at exploiting it.
He's working his way back into full fitness quite nicely. Missed a few weeks with his ankle injury, played last week and gets a bit more time as a ruckman this afternoon. Now, Ed Delaney, who we mentioned was playing down back.
He's gone into the ruck.
He's gone into the ruck. So probably, as I look through their list, was one of the only guys that would have the height and athleticism to give Aaron Gundry a bit of a chop out here. So you've got no choice as a senior coach, just to move the magnets around a little bit, play some players in different positions and see how they and the club respond. He's
got a huge leap on him, Ed Delaney, so we'll see if he can jump over Segler. See, Segler goes right to the middle of the circle to prevent Delaney getting a run.
Doing the Crackers Keenan, sort of slapping the legs.
So Segler will come in from the side. Delaney will try and get a jump at him. And look at Segler take his space away to prevent that. Smart ruck work, and he puts it into the path of Kilpatrick.
That's just an experienced guy that knows his craft really well.
Parsons' kick, awkward bounce for Phillips. Taken by O'Brien. Feeds it back 40 metres to Ramsey, misses the target. Marshall. Ramsey. Here's O'Brien under pressure. Kennedy. Off a step back towards the wing. It's a one-on-one contest. Nash versus Nunes. Nunes pops it over the top to Ramsey. Phillips. Little chip kick down the line. Mark taken by James Parsons.
So margin at 73. It was 62 at the half as Crocker, most recent goal kicker in the game, takes the mark and gets moving immediately. What can Carlton do down the stretch here? Honey not able to take the mark. O'Brien, Petrevski-Seaton tried to duck through Nash. Porter will be claimed immediately.
It's just the 11 disposals for Petrevski-Seaton, but like you mentioned earlier, he's now laid 8 tackles. So that's a focus area for him. He probably would have liked a little bit more of the footy.
It's a frustrated Jack Nunes who infringed there on Cal Porter, who's playing his 38th VFL match this afternoon. Just one AFL game with the Bulldogs. 3 to beat there for Segler. Kilpatrick, superb afternoon. Gets the kick almost to the wing. Brooksby collects, can keep the arms free of Parks, and lurking in the right spot was Morris. He ducked his way out the back. He'll share it in board with Aducci, who can take it on the bounce. Go back to Newcomb, who's a decent right boot from 52. It marches its way towards goal and misses to the right-hand side. Jai Newcomb, 20 touches, yet to hit the scoreboard this afternoon, but as we mentioned, 8 clearances.
Fraser Phillips picks up the half volley. Williamson comes streaming through defensive 50. Spears it low towards O'Brien. Slaps it back in the Williamson direction. Thought about the give. Smothered off his boot by Phillips. Kilpatrick coming in one direction. Hurst the other against Hartley. Hartley hangs on to Cody Hurst, who takes the free kick.
He's tried hard, Cody Hurst, this afternoon. Hasn't got a lot of the footy, but defensively he's tried to do the right thing.
Launches it high and long down the wing. Petrevski-Seaton second to the football. And bounces off Cal Porter and out for a throw in. So any of the Carlton players today, Kennedy's had 20, Ramsey 19, Williamson 18, Kemp 16, Nunes 15, O'Brien 14, Petrevski-Seaton 12, Parks 11. Any of those putting their hand up for an AFL game next week?
Honey's he's done some nice things, kicked a couple of goals, and I think Kemp will need more football and more fitness, but geez, he showed why he was such a highly touted prospect. First game in 2 years, he slotted straight back in.
To Nunes, now to Kennedy. They attack through the middle of the ground. Crocker's got a couple of metres if the kick's good. Beasley closed late and did enough to get it to the line.
Hit 5 metres on Beasley then, and just the kick was good into space, but the closing speed of Beasley and just the timing of when to engage Crocker was very good.
Did just enough without infringing. Hugh Beasley, the veteran, playing his 43rd game this afternoon of VFL football. Doesn't sound a lot, but he joined the AFL system way back in 2015 with the Brisbane Lions. Here's a chance for Delaney. Just got the angles wrong.
There was a few times a couple of years ago when he was at Richmond, he was probably in their best side, but wasn't getting games because the Richmond AFL listed guys were getting games in front of him. So yeah, he's had to work really hard.
He's a premiership player. In his last game as a VFL Tiger, brother Charlie was in the squad this afternoon for Box Hill. He not able to crack his way into the lineup. The Segler marks. Kilpatrick always in the right spot and typically using it well. Brooksby marks. That's what's in front of him. Had Green running at him. Jack out bodies and shovels a mark.
Looking straight into the sun as well. And
unselfish to come in board, and they're pulling the wings off the Blues. Aducci will try and make it 4 for the day.
Park's not happy. He played from the front position. Felt like he'd almost done enough, but he's a very unselfish footballer too, Emerson Checker, which for a key forward.
He likes playing against Carlton listed players. Aducci 3 against the Northern Blues, round 11 2017, for 4 today.
And the roar.
Cue celebration.
He cheers louder than anyone. I love celebrators, and he doesn't get the double copper out or do anything over extravagant, but he sets out a roar when he kicks them, and he's kicked 4 today. And that's really good unselfish play, because when you're up by 80-odd points, you're the full forward, you've pasted AFL footy, and you've come back to this level. In your head, you might be thinking, I need to kick 4 or 5 to get my name back out there. But Emerson Checker immediately looked inside and kicked it to a teammate in a better spot. And that's probably what Sammy Mitchell was talking about.
Saw Segler take the space this time again from Gundry. Green flips it towards Minot. Swaney attacked it. Booted forward in the Stevens direction. Well played, O'Brien. Came hard at the football. Gave it to Nash, off to Porter. Porter now to Newcomb, who's pushed forward to the football. He can run to 55. Looks for an option. Goes long and deep. Here's Fergus Green over the top. Good spoil at the back from Dale Marshall. Got it through for a minor score. Quick release from Fraser Phillips in the Nunes direction, and he marks at defensive 50.
So Nunes inboard. He showed plenty of it for Swaney to mark. Not quite the same raucous celebrations coming out of the legend stand, but ball will get advanced 50 metres as a result of an encroachment. So Swaney, who comes off kicking a goal and being in the best last week for Uni Blues against Old Scotch, his VFL debut today. He's got Nunes lurking, and he'll go there now to the Blue veteran who chips short for Kennedy. Just a little bit of lax marking. First time today, really, Box Hill have been caught out on transition.
Yeah, that was a nice forward 50 entry there. Nunes just lowering the eyes. They haven't been able to do that all afternoon. Now it's up to Matty Kennedy to go back and finish the good work.
17 possessions, 6 clearances in round 3 against the Bombers. 27 and 9 inside 50s in round 4 against the Dogs. Consistent player at the level. Can't add a goal to his afternoon total.
1 goal, 4 for the season in the VFL for Matt Kennedy now. Hartley short to Beasley. Back to Michael Hartley. Nice touch kick. Kilpatrick. His kick had a little bit too much on it for Jekka, but he can go back and pick it up. He's got runners to the inside. Aduchi's got to wait for this handball. North coming in the other direction. Phillips gathered the football, immediately tackled by Masiti. As Fraser Phillips was on the Blues list last season. Masiti pokes a kick. Just got options aplenty this afternoon, the Hawks. Every time you look up, they've got multiple choices to go for. Kilpatrick inside 50, and that's pretty comfortable for Fergus Green to come out and take it in front of his face. 45 from goal.
Yeah, been a couple of nice recruits from former Footscray Western Bulldogs. Porter down back, Green up forward, bookending this Box Hill side, and he can line up for goal number 3.
He's kicked 14-4 for the season. Accuracy's been a real strength of his right through this VFL campaign so far. See what he can do from just inside 50. Gets close to the man on the mark. It's going to drop short. Punch to the top of the square. Ramsey had to be quick. Calusi got it to Marshall. He puts it into the path of North, and the Blues a chance to attack from half back. O'Brien will go back. Great effort. Once again, Hugh Beasley.
The king of 1%ers. He's only had the 5 disposals today, but he's done plenty of that work. In fact, I reckon he prefers to spoil than get a disposal. Some defenders are like that, Chase.
We mentioned his presence in Richmond's VFL Premiership a couple of years ago. It's been the hallmark of any VFL Premiership of an AFL listed team in the last few years to have experience and composure in defence from a VFL point of view. It was Geordie Russell a lot of the time in Footscray's 2 flags, and Beasley looks like he might play a role similar that should take Box Hill deep this year. As O'Brien and Crocker have collided, perhaps a head clash in back play here. O'Brien back to his feet now, and Crocker meandering back to his goal square. Tim O'Brien still hanging a little bit, so margin at 79. Brooksby the latest to try and grab it out of the ruck against the unlikely ruckman in Parsons. O'Brien sets off in search of the Sharon. He'll use his favoured left to find North down low, who's one of the Blues' few goal kickers. Off to Stevens. He chips and finds Nunes. Again, was quick to have a look inboard, but can't find any options. Now he's got one coming at him. He hangs the kick for Crocker. O'Brien just nicks it off him.
Crocker looked to have it. Somehow O'Brien emerged with it. Back towards the wing, Morris and Marshall.
The kick was on, and he had 5 metres on his direct opponent. Look at that, bang. There is the separation, and the kick was just too high. Timmy O'Brien, who just clashed heads with him, he's probably seeing 3, just took the one in the middle.
Brooksby versus Delaney. Delaney got a hand down to Kennedy. Awkward bounce by Hartley. Sits up nicely for Parsons. Gives it off to Lockie O'Brien. Cross his body towards Crocker. Gets rid of one man. Runs into Porter and gone. So he got rid of Beasley, but the support defence was there, and that could be a reversal as Horner puts Crocker down. The umpire does, in fact, reverse it. It's going to be a shot at goal for Ben Crocker. Chance to kick his second this afternoon, both from free kicks.
That's a bonus. Pink for holding the footy. It was a good attack. He got rid of the first tackler, but the second one stuck. Nice little reversal, so he can go back and kick his second. His first was in the goal square from a free kick off the ball, and this could be... He works really hard, so he deserves everything he gets, Benny Crocker.
And he steers it through for his second of the afternoon.
So he got rid of Beasley, and that was the great tackle, holding the ball decision. He wasn't too happy. Horner comes over from behind and knocks him over. Umpire goes 50-50, but he's paid a free kick there. And Crocker, who has been well held this afternoon, but he's worked really high. He's got nice and high on occasions. He's kicked a couple.
Minot was tackled to the ground by Petrevski-Seton, who adds another scalp to his afternoon. 9 tackles, 12 touches for Sam Petrevski-Seton in his first VFL game to go with 88 for the AFL Blues. Ashko's looking for it. It pinballs between him and Stevens. Just a flicker backhand at it. Minot and Petrevski-Seton.
That's tackle 10.
Battle again.
Watch his starting positions here at the stoppage, which is really good. He gets in behind Minot and engages him. So that's better work around the stoppages for some of the Blues players.
Stevens emerges. Half volley required here from O'Brien, who can dash away from Hartley. Too high for Nunes. Horner can trap and send it back to the outer side. Hartley, as you can see, shielding his eyes from the sun. Marks darts the kick over the head of Morris, but this is how he'll like it. He's out the back on Phillips. Just didn't get the bounce he wanted. They both run past. Phillips goes back and has support from Parsons to Ramsey. And trapped down on the knees with Stevens.
Players just probably starting to fatigue a little bit now. It's a really warm day. Big oval. Sting's certainly gone out of the contest.
Kennedy to Hurst. Over the top to Delaney, a fumble. O'Brien can come through and pick it up at 50. Wants to circle back, feeds a handball through to Hurst. Hurst brings it back inside. The target was Honey, and that's a fantastic mark to Newcomb.
Another good performance from Newcomb this afternoon. He certainly could belong on an AFL list.
Beasley to Aducci to Jekka. Well, the Blues have got 2 mid-season draft spots available. They might be looking at Jai Newcomb, take them apart this afternoon and think, well, he'd look all right in a navy blue jumper as Green turns, goes, delivers towards the top of the square. And Fraser Phillips stands tall, takes the grab. Punches it out wide. O'Brien marks at defensive 50. Confronted by DeWitt. Sizzles a kick over the top of the contest. It might work at the back here for Crocker. He's got a couple of metres on Mercedes. Turns back inboard, didn't like what he saw ahead, brings it into the corridor and finds Honey. Run from behind. North's going to get shut down. Honey will now just launch it high and long inside 50. Segler in best position.
Easy pickings for Segler. 6 marks on his afternoon. Provider for DeWitt. To Minot in your sense. Box Hill could go coast to coast here. Well done, Kennedy. Phillips just tried to tunnel him and Kennedy was able to hold that ball with one hand. Off to North on his left. Finds Nunes getting busy in the latter minutes. Goes looking for Crocker, who's trapped behind Mercedes. Got a fist on it and nearly took out the trainer in the pocket there. Boys, I mentioned 19 years ago this week since the last time these 2 teams played, as you see possession getters on the ground. That coincided with a very famous day in VFL history. Tony Lockett made his debut that afternoon for Port Melbourne prior to his
the
comeback for the Swans, which was, of course, very short-lived. His opponent that day for Werribee, Brian Harris, before, of course, he became the Norm Smith medal winner, Brian Lake.
Tony Lockett's first comeback game at North Sydney against the Bombers in that pre-season game. It was the first game I ever did on TV.
Is that right?
So there you go. Complete the circle.
Insert yourself into a story.
Complete the circle.
What year was that?
2002.
32. Yeah.
The year you made your debut.
That's
You were suspended at the time.
So now I've worked you into it as well. I'm working on Nudge. What did you do in 2002? Nudge, what were you doing at the time?
You were captaining Casey.
Certainly
Mile
wasn't
modelling,
captaining.
weren't you? Here's Williamson from 52 metres. Went out to the left, and that's where the kick went as well.
Well, they've kept running. The Blues, they've kept working hard this quarter. Small win, but
Hartley went long
unrealistic attempt
against Brockman. It's going to be a free kick to Matt Shannon.
Here's Brockman trying to go skyward and getting all sorts of Matt Shannon's #2 haircut. So free kick, Carlton. So the Blues have kicked 3 of the last 4, so some positivity.
Yep.
Goals at the 31 and 32 minute mark of a 35-minute third quarter. And then at least in the last year, it's been a goal apiece. As you mentioned, Brownie, a bit of the sting's gone out of it. But certainly not the same as last week when Box Hill had their way with that inexperienced North Melbourne team. O'Brien will miss to the left-hand side. So it's 1-3 to 1-2 in the final term, but tellingly, Carlton 65 possessions to 45 in the quarter so far, and a bit more balance in their game. 11 inside 50s to 5 as well.
Mercedes goes short to Beasley. Back to Damien Mercedes. Spears it towards the wing out in front of Brooksby versus Kemp. Williamson gives it off to Brody Kemp. Twists and turns, looks for an option inside 50. Delivers in the Nunes direction. That's a lovely mark. It was a 2-on-1 and Hugh Beasley did well. Kept his eyes on the football and took the grab. Gives them real steel in that back 50. As Nudge mentioned, the idea of having an experienced defender or two that's been in the system for a long time makes a huge difference to your VFL mix as Brooksby pops it over the top. That'll release Phillips. He looks ahead and sees Jecker. Jecker marks 80 from goal. Saunders streams inside 50. Brockman stands at 50. He's called to go now, Jecker. Squares it up. Brooksby and or Kilpatrick. Brooksby hands it off. Nash feeds it through. Phillips pops it high towards the top of the square. Brockman gets a run at it and comes down with the grab.
It was practice out on the wing. He didn't time that one correctly and gave away a free, but on that occasion, got it perfectly. Credit to Phillips there for the kick too, because he could have blazed away off one step, but he intentionally kicked that to the top of the square, the dangerous space on the ground. And Tyler Brockman, we've seen him pull out plenty of party tricks in his short AFL career so far, working his way back.
His second, Hawthorn's 18th.
He's got a nice leap. He's really good when the ball's on the ground. We know that. He probably flies a little bit too much for a small guy, but you can understand why. You know, when you can do that. There's Clarko. He'll be watching very closely after another loss.
Puopolo replacement, isn't he? That sort of player.
Yeah. And Saunders and Brockman, Morris, obviously a couple of guys that have really put their names up in lights again this afternoon to get an AFL call-up.
Wide for Connor Nash. To Mercedes. Should pay tribute to, speaking of good defenders in this league, Casey Demon, Jack Hutchins playing his 100th VFL match this afternoon against Sydney as Newcomb marks and again goes north of 20 possessions. Just his 5th AFL game. And speaking of fives,
if he kicks this,
Vinny, do not pass.
We need to just listen to him scream.
Yep. Audio directors have the volume buddy button cued, please. Aducci for his 5th.
Oh, he didn't. Great kick into the pocket. Aducci takes a one-handed mark. He's been the best man on the ground. Goal number 5. Let's listen. He loves it off the boot. Nothing. I can't believe it.
He's the silencer.
Honestly.
Just lets out a giant guttural silence.
When we needed the roar that he's done on 4 occasions this afternoon, and that was the best of the lot.
83 points the margin.
That's holding.
Nash and Kennedy come together. Free kick to Matt Kennedy.
Possession number, well, it's possession number 26 now for Matty Kennedy.
Goes for territory, drives it long in the Crocker direction. Spills to ground level. Horner on his knees, gives it to O'Brien, and now DeWitt. Tidy again coming from half-back. It's Segler to Nash. Saunders now in a foot race against Calusi. Calusi did well, got the run of the football, and then a tiny little kick across his body to North. Now Kennedy. Matt Shannon. Good delivery. O'Brien. Mark or free kick.
They're the kicks that they haven't been able to execute this afternoon. The little one into the corridor by Calusi that just opens the ground up, encourages run and carry from behind.
So Kennedy picking up plenty of touches in this final term. Well read by O'Brien, just cuts across Gundry and takes the mark as we go round the grounds. Couple of games currently in progress. Casey and the Swans still tight midway through the third term, just a point the difference. The D's one of the pace setters in the VFL this season, as they are in the AFL.
As the quarter time score about to come from Werribee and the Northern Bull Ants.
Short ball to Parsons. Wow. Mickey Barlow and the Tigers up and about. 7 VFL zone. Premier Special Comments man Michael Barlow getting it done in the coach's box as well.
Tigers kicked 8 in the first 20 minutes of that one. The first quarter went 34 minutes. So the Bull Ants just holding on for what could have been an enormous quarter, or was. It could have been even bigger.
17 shots in the first term. This is Ben Crocker from the boundary line.
Footscray Casey, incidentally, will be our broadcast match next Sunday afternoon from Whitten Oval. The undefeated Dogs. Casey trying to continue what's been a good season so far against the Swans across town as Crocker goes deep. Segler can clear with a snap of sorts. Brooksby gets a hold of the collar of Kemp. Shoveling ball from Williamson back to Ramsey, who elects to push it deep into the shadows. Fist from Hartley. Paddled by Mercedes once and twice. He can keep it afloat for O'Brien. And again, the Hawks in a clear air. Downey taps for the lead of Jekka. And he's had a day of marking plenty of that footy. 12 grabs for Emerson Jekka. He just provides them with such a linking option with the way he presents up to the footy, Brownie.
Yep.
2 goals, both of them coming early in the contest, but he's a true centre-half forward in the old sense. He just hits the wings and
he certainly
gets on his bike.
20 disposals, 10 marks, 3 goals, 4 last week. And as you just mentioned there, 12 marks, 3 goals this afternoon.
Segler again with ease off the back of the contest to Kilpatrick. Drives to a one-on-one. Green tries to work Shannon off it. Shannon did well at the front. Has to get rid of the football quickly. Opens the door for Phillips. Kilpatrick kept running. Chips a kick forward. Well read by Marshall. Just got in front of Saunders, took the grab. Goes long towards the outer side, but to a 2-on-1, and Mark picked off by Horner. Phillips looks for an option inside 50. Had to be perfect with the kick to mine it and just slightly overcooked it. It's been a super impressive performance from Box Hill. 83 points the margin. They're making a real statement this afternoon. Phillips involved again. His 21st touch. Jekka sets himself and up he goes.
Yep. Keegan Brooksby did a really good job there off the ball. You wouldn't have seen it. But just to get in the way of Parks, his direct opponent, and allow him to run and jump at this footy. And that's probably where his work rate. He was up on the wing, half-back flank taking marks. He worked really hard to get back to full forward. And by the time he did his second lead then, Parks was very fatigued. That's how just outworked him.
For goal number 3 from 45 out, just hangs it out to the right. But as we mentioned earlier, a lot to like, a lot of talent for Alistair Clarkson and the Hawthorn coaching staff to work on, particularly in that forward setup with Jecker and Morris and Saunders and Brockman. 4 really exciting prospects as the ball's going to come back in. Segler's had a blinder.
As has Saunders, almost run down by North, gets the kick away. Jecker looks for the body, Parks with the flying fist will see it to the line.
I'm talking purely from an athletic perspective because I'm not comparing him to Buddy Franklin in terms of ability just yet. But his athletic prowess and his speed and the way he moves, he's
probably a better contested mark than Buddy. Buddy's never been a contested marking type of player. Jecker can go up and take a pack grab.
Yep, there's certainly some similarities there.
Marshall, handball in Hope. Newcomb, back to O'Brien. Has to think his way through the traffic. Mine it. Sensational kick to find Brooksby.
And that's the ultimate compliment, so I wouldn't just be throwing it around willy-nilly, but good balance of speed and endurance.
So Keegan Brooksby with the final act of this one. He's got 1-2 on the afternoon. It'll be his 20th possession of the day. So the Hawks coming off a 108-point win last week to win this one by 90. Won't work its way back far enough. In the end, tings its way into the post. So an 84-point demolition from Box Hill. It was simply a dominant performance after the halfway mark of the opening quarter.
Footscray and Casey next Sunday afternoon. Our 7 VFL match of the day on behalf of Nigel Carmody, Campbell Brown, the entire production team here at Icon Park. Thanks for watching as we throw you back to Sunday Footy Fest.